as well. And here we go. All right, this is a little impromptu, but welcome everybody to the, well, I want to say first of many. We've had some smaller crossovers, but this is the first of hopefully many crossovers with Win with Dice and the Untold Stories project. We're doing sort of an impromptu podcast episode. This will probably be the podcast episode for this week because I don't think either of us are going to want to record anything tomorrow. Welcome everybody, people who might be watching on the Win with Dice channel or on the USP channel. Today we're going to have a conversation about convention gaming, specifically with regards to the Origins Game Fair, or just everybody's experience with convention gaming or gaming with different groups and things like that. This is probably going to be a pretty loose conversation as compared to some of the semi-professional interviews that we do on the podcast. I'm willing to say we're half professional.
I don't know. That feels like it's setting the bar kind of high.
Yeah, we're like quarter professional. Let's do that. Yeah,
I can live with that.
Let's bring a notch down.
Yeah, we'll make a good first impression, so we have a lot of room to fail.
Manage
Yeah.
expectations.
Exactly. So yeah, looks like we're live on both channels, which is very exciting. So, to start off, I want to just do some quick introductions of everybody who's here presently. The way we're formatting it right now is just when people are available, they can pop in for a few minutes and maybe chat about their convention games and what they were doing in the larger Shadow War event, which is a topic I definitely want to get to. I was thinking, people who are interested in tabletop RPGs, they may not have experience with convention games, and specifically running convention games or running these large event games. And I think that's the sort of thing that I want to talk to people about, like just playing in or running a session and something like that. So I'm just going to go in the order that I see people on the Zoom window. So I'm going to start with Joe and Galen. If you two want to introduce yourselves, maybe talk about your background with tabletop RPGs and stuff like that.
Sure. My name's Galen Llewellyn. I guess I am a professional gamer for a little while. I worked as a karate teacher, and part of my extracurricular activities that we would do at the karate facility was gaming with teens and teens and younger kids, like starting around 12.
Tweens and teens.
Tweens, that's the word. Tweens and teens. And essentially giving them a safe space to try out their growth things, a way to talk about various topics that usually are either like you have to do it in a certain context or anything. And it just allowed them to like try out things. And it was a safe place. It was really fun. But part of those games included having lessons and like teachable moments. And so like part of our games didn't have a lot of death in it, like just start a new character. It was like, no, we're going to maim you and now you can see the consequences. So I have a lot of story-based gaming experience. And so I heavily rely on story over mechanics. Joe?
Oh, okay. We're gonna.
Because otherwise, I'm going to talk forever.
That's valid.
That's
okay,
totally
so,
fine.
Yeah, that's
I
what we're here
fill
for.
in some gaps with.
What about you?
Yeah, I know. So he's also like multi-generational gamer. Like his father is a tabletop gamer who started off with Redbox with like the red.
Yeah, the D&D first.
Yeah,
he is
Redbox.
very proud of still having the Redbox.
Nice.
And so he grew up as a tabletop gamer, thus it makes sense whenever he got his career going, he was doing that professionally then. I toddled along, and I've always been passionate about collaborative storytelling, but growing up where I grew up, that was difficult until I came back here and then found the dojo that he was working at, and I started working at the dojo as well, and boss man looked at me and went, "You're a nerd. You know how to GM, right? You know D&D." And I was like, "Sure." And so he's like, "Great," and handed me a new manual for something called Glorantha and gave me a month to learn the system, and I started GMing with him. So that's where I started out GMing. Crazy system I never knew existed, and doing some insane come to find out, mega events for teenagers for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We essentially ran mega events, but I didn't realize that that was a thing until meeting you guys.
Yeah, that my baby step into GMing was a 6-month-long mega campaign event.
Yeah, that's accurate.
And so I think that is also why I am obsessive about other random ass indie, or I'm sorry, can I cuss on this?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay.
Yes, 100%.
No,
Swear, everything could just be swear words. It's fine too. Don't worry about it.
If I needed to edit myself, I would try. But yeah, I love running one shots or alternative systems or really compact games that, again, have a clear-cut storyline that, like, this is the experience I'm wanting all of us to have together. And I just happen to pepper in plot points or little story hooks to see what grabs onto you, and we're making this together. That's how I like to come at GMing. And the convention experience is a whole nother chunk of conversation.
Yeah.
I would actually really like to get into people's perspectives on GMing. Might have to try to squeeze that in today, actually, because I would like to see, you know, how other people approach it as well. I think that's a whole topic unto itself. But we should probably keep going with intros, or else we're going to be back and forth. But I am going to make a mental note to come back to that. I realized I didn't introduce myself or Ramon.
It's fine.
The host.
We'll keep going in order. No, we'll make it there. Don't worry.
Okay, I'm just going to go in the Zoom order. Before I do, though, I do want to reply to some chat messages I'm seeing on the YouTube chat. Claire, hello. Thanks for coming by and hanging out. Gerald also mentions going to a con this weekend, so I'm curious what convention you're going to. And Claude asks, what is a tabletop RPG? And it is a miserable pile of natural ones.
Just sprinkled with the best 20s you'll ever see. That's what it is.
No. Claude, to give you an honest answer, when a game loves to dice very much, no, that's not it.
It kind of is.
It's close enough.
It's actually really good. You stick with that. That one's good. I'm put that on a shirt.
We do need more shirts.
I'll say, where's Steph?
Going to the NEA Game Fest in Jonesboro, Arkansas. Cool. Yeah, let us know more. Like what you're planning to do there. If you're playing something, if you're running something, I'm really curious. But since we're going in Zoom order, I guess I'll introduce myself because that's where I am right now. So hey everybody, I'm Calvin. I am part of Win with Dice and a cast member on the Untold Stories project. I do a bunch of tabletop stuff online. That's kind of my main thing. If you've seen stuff on the channel, you know we have a weekly tabletop RPG podcast. Weekly in quotation marks, but we do like to talk about the Lancer RPG. We've talked about Mutants and Masterminds a handful of times. We talk a lot of Pathfinder as well. We like to do sometimes recaps of sessions where we go into details about either the GM perspective or the player perspective on a game, as well as sometimes just talking about like news or new book releases and things like that. We're going to talk about Howl of the Wild eventually. It keeps getting pushed back, but we'll get to it. It's a really cool book. There's a weremoose in it. And yeah, I guess as far as my own tabletop experience, I actually started playing with Ramon that a million billion years ago. Like Ramon was pretty much my first GM. And that
you always remember your first, man. Don't worry.
I remember my first.
True.
I mean, you're not wrong.
You don't. If they're bad enough, you don't remember them.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I remember my first character was that little halfling ranger that I just kind of ripped off of a video game and was always running headfirst into danger and really not capable of handling it.
Yeah, thank God that guy. I think you moved on pretty fast with way better characters. So
yeah.
You keep telling him that.
Yeah, I think I still do that actually. And then there was the college tabletop RPG club, which I kind of started in around the same time, and that was when I first started playing Mutants and Masterminds in second edition. I had a character named Darkwing who always talked in the Batman voice. So,
Was he a duck?
no, but I had my reference image was human fan art of Darkwing Duck.
Nice.
And yeah, so if you're wondering where the Bowman voice came from, it's a little bit that too. That's where I practiced it in the first time. And that's my tabletop history. I'll talk about more convention stuff when we get to that actual topic. But we'll keep going with intros, and I'll pass over to Ramon.
Hey guys, it's Ramon. You guys probably hear me on the podcast. I don't really show my face on the channel, but my voice is always here. I am I want to say half of the Women Dice podcast, but really I'm like a quarter. Calvin does the rest of the stuff. I just come in with jokes and cringe lines. That's me. But yeah, my tabletop RPG experience. I've been playing since I don't know, like 2010. Started off with 4E. With a not so great GM for like one session, then immediately got a 3.5 game with a really good GM and been playing 3.5 for a while. Then fifth edition came out, played one session of that, and I was like, nah, I'm good. And then we were playing Pathfinder for a while. In between that and then Pathfinder 2, I think I started GMing like maybe whenever I started for Calvin. That's when I started GMing, and I've been running games. I think all of the live games we've been playing with our friend groups, I've been GMing. So yeah, and then starting the podcast a couple of years ago. Yeah, I usually have. I'm a big tactical maps battle guy, so like I'm that kind of person. I'm not that great with the story. I'm mostly just fly the story to seat of my pants. And whatever the players want, I'm like, sure. Did you roll high enough? Cool.
I think that's pretty good, to be honest, man. Like,
Calvin has not complained once, and he's had the best time of his life. So I've been told. So
my characters get stressed out.
That's
when
true.
they almost get thrown into a hell pit or turned into a werewolf or have to be responsible for everybody.
Yeah, most of my games devolve into I have too much family to care about, and the world is very much in danger, and I don't want all of my silly mans to die. I like all my silly mans. Like that's it. Players always have like 10 NPCs I have to voice for no apparent reason, just because like they made him cake one time or something. They're like, oh, I love Cake Man. Give me more Cake Man.
Get in here.
So yeah, that's my I guess tabletop background. I've never been to a convention. They always sound super cool. So probably we'll do that in some point in the future.
Yeah, hopefully you can get to Origins next year.
I can give you the Dime tour like I did for Calvin. That'll be great.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
That would be really fun. And then we can also, like, I'm hoping to run Lancer next year. So would be a blast.
I feel like you might have a small mutiny from USP if you don't run Lancer next year.
I heard a lot of positive, like, yeah, no, that's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's for certain happening. I have the maps. I don't have them within arm's reach, but I have maps.
They're pretty cool maps. Can confirm. Will be a blast if Calvin just does it. So you got to just do it.
Yeah, like I said before, I'm on my training arc to be able to run Lancer in person at a convention next year.
Okay. Well, I mean,
yeah, it's gonna happen.
Oh yeah.
You
need extra practice? We'll make sure you get extra practice in.
Oh no.
100%.
That's.
Oh no.
we're definitely playing more Lancer on the channel. Gerald mentions running 2 sessions of M&M, awesome, and playing a few games around those times and playing in person with some friends. Usually only get to play with online. Yeah, I did the same thing at the convention, just seeing people in person. That was just a total blast. It took a while to like come down off the joy of that, because oh man, I miss everybody already. Mm-hmm. I was gonna mention, like, I got a hug from Andy after I thought he already left, and then he just showed up, and then I was like, yeah.
Secret Andy hug?
Yes, yeah, Andy hug.
All right.
Now officially jealous.
You should be. Claude mentions we stand Bowman in this house, and yes, of course, I am a proud member of the Bowman Brigade.
Yes.
Um, well, continuing with our intros and going in order of Zoom window, going down to the second row, we have Kevin, aka The Deuce.
Hey everybody, I'm the Deuce. I am the Wait Wait Don't Tell Me to Kevin's Fresh Air podcast of the Untold Stories Project.
Ramon, I
Yeah.
don't know if you get the in joke, but we have two Kevins.
Oh, nice.
So,
So every intro, there's going to be two of something, and I'm going to be one of them. Yeah, I'm way older than I look, and have been gaming for way too freaking long. And I just realized when asking about experience that I have a core gaming in-person gaming group with three core players with a couple of subbed in and out, and we have been playing RPGs of various sorts for 26 years. So
Nice.
fudge me, that seems crazy when I say it like that because I've not been married that long. But yeah, so good people, good games. I played, started out as a card flopper in Magic the Gathering, picked up second edition Dungeons and Dragons, which was fun, and the Masquerade LARP. That was a trip, and then so many other games in between. Currently, I'm the master of Deadlands for the Untold Stories project. So, if you ever want cowboys and zombies, and yeah, that's your go-to. But yeah, that'd be me. Thanks for letting me chat a bit with you.
yeah. Those Deadland games, I was in those, and they were a whole lot of fun. I wasn't in the convention one though, so hopefully next year I can schedule that in. I think it was just too late at the time,
Uh, Maybe,
or
but
it
yeah,
was during something else. I don't remember. It was everything before the convention is a kind of a blur now.
I think our playtest ran at an odd day. It's fine. It's fine.
I just know I want to be that gunslinger girl again. Like, that is the only time you will hear a southern drawl out of my mouth is when I am playing that character. Otherwise, I will punch objects instead of sounding like that.
I think that's really a part of why I'm such a fan of the game is it's a the story is beautiful. It's one of the few games that gives you an honest to God story of here's how this progresses. There's a timeline. But depending on your group, it can be funny, it can be dark, it can be gritty, and there's not a lot of games that there's some. I won't say there's none, but there's very few games that give you that capability to run the even same scenario and have it come out so very different depending upon who's at your table. From, like I said, the pulp western to everybody with an accent that sounds a lot worse than mine, to, like I said, this real dark horror. So yeah, I think it's part of the mystique that draws me in. Plus the fact that there's cowboys and zombies, there's irradiated cowboys and zombies, and spacefaring cowboys and zombies, all under the same umbrella. You got a flavor for everybody.
Nice.
The perfect mix. And rounding out the bottom row, we have Brandon.
Hi, everybody. I'm Brandon, and I just had a car catch on fire right in front of me. So I had thoughts for a second. Oh, I'm fine. I pulled off to the side, and it was just like, yeah, I definitely just saw that.
Do you need a minute, or?
No, I'm good.
All right.
Much like
You're
Deuce, I have been playing for darn near forever at this point. I started back with second edition AD&D my freshman year of high school, 28 years ago at this point. Oh, God, has it really been long? And I have played a little bit of everything. Every edition of Dungeons and Dragons that's come out. Vampire, Cthulhu, played a lot of GURPS in my college days. I've played every edition of Mutants and Masterminds, I think, and have really enjoyed how they managed to keep what is central to the system, but improve so much with every iteration. That went from, in first edition, oh, this is fun, to now it being my favorite system. So, yeah, I'm just a lifelong geek.
Cool. I wonder if I should ask everybody what their favorite system is. Although I feel like while we're live on USP, it'll be a betrayal if we say anything other than Muse and Masterminds.
I was gonna say, my favorite part, my actual favorite part about the One with Dice podcast is like maybe the like 10 to 30 seconds Calvin like just tells me what the hell happened last week on USB. Like at the very end of every episode, it sounds like the wildest shit. He's always just like, "Oh yeah, remember to check us out here. We're doing all this crazy nonsense. We went through a TV and there's like 5 of us, and now there's crossover." And I'm like, "Oh, cool." Cool, that sounds awesome, man. And then we just end the episode.
Yeah, I was.
Was that the Gem Stars when we destroyed the universe for a second and had to retcon it back into existence? Was that episode or something else?
Probably.
I
mean, they all kind of sound like that. To be honest with you,
Calvin, how many times have you gone into the box? I think you guys have gone in 4 or 5 times now at this point.
Yeah, we kind of own property there, so.
I mean, when you're playing an anthropomorphic alligator, man, and then you end up in an animated kid show in space, bow, right there.
Yeah.
It
just sounds like a blast, and
and that was before they all went to Barovia to fight Count Strahd.
Yeah, we still gotta punch that guy. I was telling Ramon in like the last podcast episode because we were talking about more like other convention stuff, and I mentioned, for people who know, Gatorman won the cooking competition, and if you know the stories, like you know why, like just you know why that's so obvious. And I was about to explain it, but Ramon was just like, "No, I don't need any explanation.
No context, please."
It was rigged. That's how Gatorman won.
I don't know. I was there. I think he won it fair and square.
Reigning, defending, undefeated cooking champion of the Untold Stories Project, one Gator Man.
All right, let's get on into it. Because we took a half hour for intros, so I think we're gonna cover our time pretty well.
Yeah.
So 2-3 weeks ago, I don't know. Time is weird. Was the Origins Game Fair down in Columbus, Ohio. I flew on down there, met a whole bunch of people. It was a whole lot of fun, as I said. So on the podcast, I kind of talked about like everything that I did there. So I kind of want to start with other people and get what did everybody do at the convention, or any particular thing that stood out, just your day-to-day there, what you got up to, because I've gone into a whole lot of detail on it, so I want to hear what happened with other people. And we'll just go in the same order with Galen and Joe, because I also want to hear about your Starfinder stuff.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Well, I mean, first off, so this was my second major convention and kind of working a convention. During my time at the karate school, we did go to Gen Con once, and it was awesome. But part of the way that we got to go there is that my ex-boss had some connections with the company Chaosium, who do Call of Cthulhu stuff, but also Glorantha is their other baby that they've had for a long time. And so we actually ran a LARP there for the kids to help pay my way through. And that was really fun, but it was a weird experience, like working and doing gaming versus like going there and getting to participate with everything. And so then doing that again with USP, but being invited because Joe plays on all of their stuff and I'm a spouse who gets to hear about it. It was the second time, and it was exactly like I remembered it, but also in this was a little different since it was, I had a lot more control over what I wanted to particularly do instead of being in a group who was going to do just one thing. Because we essentially did like how you guys ran the mega game. We did that a few days in a row, and it was really fun. Really, really neat. Doing conventions is at working a convention, I should say, is really different. But you also get to see a really neat side of it, because we obviously got to see the planner's perspective, and then while going and playing, it was super fun. So to answer the first question of what was the most important or like impressive thing, is honestly getting to go to a gaming convention where it's only about tabletop and not having to share that space with everyone. Because we usually go to Dragon Con in Atlanta, Georgia. Fun con, great stuff. But you got to share space with all of the various different types of geeks and geek kind, and sometimes tabletop gets shoved in the corner. But it was nice to get to do it. I will say it was really neat getting to do most of the games for free. That like a lot of the 5e things, since apparently I for one thought 5e was going to be way more prominent there, and it wasn't. But apparently there is some history about Wizards and that gaming convention. Maybe, I don't know. That's parent company shit. I don't know. But I got a really nice, wonderful time from just being able to, at the convention, go onto the app and go, I would like to play this Starfinder game. I would like to play this other game. And I could just kind of go, get one, and get a spot. And that was really cool. The Starfinder games were really fun. Never done organized play before, which is, if anyone doesn't know on the stream, is where they apparently have a big giant mega game that they put on in little districts throughout the country that you got to find at your local game shop, but also at big conventions. They do it, and you gain experience and you get to have tons of fun. And so I had played Starfinder and Pathfinder here and there, but never in the official capacity backed by Paizo, which was really cool. Having some officials there to direct you. Tagging you in.
So my convention experience is broad and varied. The only way to like answer all of this, to give my perspective, is that my nerddom is so bad that I have a degree in comic books. And so I started the con scene because of Artist Alley and comic book reviews and things like that. Obviously, that's not where my career landed me. No big deal. But I ended up becoming a professional photographer, and a lot of connections and clientele work and everything like that was cosplay photography. And I worked at Dragon Con for many, many years, with various, over at Dragon Con, they call them tracks, or like different subsections. I will give you dinner in a minute. Sorry. So I'm very used to like bopping around the insanity of Dragon Con specifically. There's been other conventions, and whether nerdy or gaming or just different kinds, like I've traveled to New Orleans for different things, and Florida, Carolina, anyways, traveled around for different convention work before. It's a lot of fun. Every convention has its own vibe, own weirdness, all of that. So this was the first time I went to Origins. It was such a lovely mid-sized convention. Like, I am exhausted from Dragon Con and all of the, I'm not trying to like trash talk or anything, but Dragon Con is a lot. It is a lot as an attendee. It is even more as someone like volunteering time to help out with tracks. It is even worse for people who officially volunteer with Dragon Con. And so I came to Origins with that level of stress and anxiety, and like, I have to go nonstop 24/7, fuck. And that is not what Origins was like. And holy crud, was that amazing. And so even though we were working, that was the first vacation I have had in years. And my camera is being so dramatic for me. I apologize. Um,
No, I love the shots. It's awesome. I wish my camera was more dynamic.
I
It
don't.
feels like I'm watching a movie right now. It's like oh,
It heard you.
In any case, so
We just need like a couple of lens flares, and then it could be a J.J. Abrams flick.
I know,
look,
right?
is it gonna work? Oh no, if I do this for a minute, it might like do hearts and shit. But anyways, ADD.
Nope, totally fine.
Oh, daily at Origins was just getting up, vibing, because I wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. Thank you, body. So vibing for a few hours, getting lost places, finding cute little cafes and things to drink, and then like, oh, I have to go GM a game. Okay. Go meet some strangers, have a really fun time for a couple of few hours, and then wander around some more, getting myself a bit lost, finding cool things, meeting cool people, playing so many play tests.
Yeah.
That darn room, the room, room.
That I gotta say, that was also a really cool thing, is being near a lot of board gamers
Oh my
as
God.
well. And so having the system, but also a great way to advertise your game, was to definitely have a physical version of it to play, and at the very least watch someone else play, but you usually got to hands-on do it. And so as a part of the sales pitch was, hey, come sit down, take a break.
Yeah.
Use that time that you now have walking around to try out our game. And if you like it so much, we'll tell you the price. And it was almost always,
like, it was always a good price. But and why that's such a big deal for me is, again, I'm used to other conventions, large, small, whatever. It is cram packed. You are shoulder to shoulder. You're elbowing your way through. You get 30 seconds of maybe checking out something and you have to scoodle on. Otherwise, are you going to piss everyone off around you to make a purchase? That was not the experience at Origins. There was so much space. Everyone was chill. You come in, you have a talk, you do a little demo, you touch things, you sniff things, because there were so many really delicious candles. But anyways, it was a very pleasurable experience when I have become accustomed to other conventions that are a lot higher energy, and with other groups of people that just kind of keep you amped up the entire time. And USP in particular, we were like, nah, we're chill. We are the self-care group.
Need breaks.
No stress.
Here's a break room.
No stress.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I loved it. Every day was just fucking around and having fun with strangers. That meant meeting people in the dealer's hall and then playing games with them later in the night.
So that was one thing that was really cool, and it is on the subject of Starfinder, is one of the cool things is kind of the natural time slot that the whole convention had as like a culture, a little society. Is there was morning, there was like early afternoon, and then starting at like late afternoon, evening, definitely around 7, 8. And it was because we met two women who were vendors at the same booth, and they wanted to play games, and so they were a Starfinder group, and they only could play in the evenings because they wanted to make sure that they could get their whole time in the vendor hall. And so it was really cool to get to actually meet even the vendors as like a co-geek, you know, another peer, and go like, yeah, what do you think of this game? And they have their own opinions, but also then in a different context, you can go to them as a vendor. That was really cool.
Yeah, that's super cool. I like that there was time. This sounds like there's lots of time to have fun. So that's really awesome.
Like a big thing that kept happening to us is, just Dragon Con's insane in general, but we would always have to map out, oh crap, we have to go back to the room and then we have to go to this other place. Fuck. Plan 45 minutes for this adventure. Even though it's like a block and a half away round trip, just plan 45 minutes because the crowd is that bad, elevators are that slow, most of the escalators are going to be broken. Like, you're going to have to find alternative routes. But at Origins, we had that mentality of like, plan 15, 30 minutes and we'll be fine. And we've done the whole loop in 6, and we're like, we just get to vibe for a while, and this is great. So
I feel like I might have been spoiled with Origins being my first convention.
No,
because
it's a good thing.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Like I have been to Fan Expo like once or twice, which is it's a convention out in Toronto. I think they have it in locations in the US as well. But I was looking at going this year. Like when I came back, I had mentioned I went out to my friend and she wanted to go to Fan Expo, and I was like, I'll do more convention stuff. That sounds cool. And then I look at it and there's not like any tabletop stuff, and I'm like, what? That's how that works? That doesn't make sense.
Unfortunately, that is how that works. Most nerdy comic conventions, or like pop culture conventions, is what's really popular now. Tabletop isn't really included at the moment, which is wild, but I don't know. My little nerdy heart feels the wave coming along with other groups and networks gaining the popularity and outreach that they have. But please move along. I will keep rambling.
By the way, Calvin Jeep says you and she need to go to Breakout this year, or next year. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to go to places and do things. I'm not really seeing the Twitch chat. I am looking at the Win with Dice YouTube chat though. So also I want to say hey to Trey, who is hanging out in the chat. People who may have been around the channel for a bit, you know who Trey is. If you know Lancer, you know who Trey is. Wrote Field Guide to Mfukane, wrote some other adventures for Lancer. We've had him on the podcast like 5 or 6 times at this point. Probably our most recurring guest. I think Trey's moved into like honorary host at this point.
Trey's like right after Tim, I'm pretty sure, as like someone who could replace me like instantly. like that's
So I just want to make sure I say hi. But yeah, like I mean, for me, like my own convention experience is mostly just Origins, other than Fan Expo, which it has its moments. I actually did meet Kevin Conroy there once. I got him to sign the Arkham City art book for the game. Like ages ago. Yeah.
Jelly.
But like just looking at it again, I was like, because back then I wasn't really into the tabletop stuff, but now I'm like, where's the kaboom? You know?
Yeah.
And there weren't as many celebrities as I wanted to meet at the time. So, but yeah, I guess I will pass over to Deuce if you want to talk about Origin specifically, as in like what were you up to there, or any standout things from the convention?
Oh yeah, sure. I always have a wonderful time, but that's because of the people I tend to surround myself with, so that helped. Ran a couple games. I ran the Deadlands scenario Calvin has said he missed. I ran it twice, and then I did a Means of Masterminds game twice set in Titan City, which I only received positive feedback, where everyone was very nice and didn't want to say, oh my God, what did I do behind my back? So either way, I'm taking it as a good thing. But yeah, I always enjoy telling stories with people. The mega event went off great. Bowman put 6 arrows into the spirit of the dead evil Bowman in another universe. Put I think like 6 arrows into Harper, maybe? No, I'm sorry. It was from Haven. Lost the name. We'll come back to it. Anyway, yeah, I'm making Bowman a very evil guy. But
that's fair.
Yeah. But really the best part for me, and I think for any con, is just finding time to get away and spend with the people you know or you meet. Trying out Sentinels of the Multiverse for the first time was a blast. Meeting the other artist as me and Calvin was great. That guy was interesting as all get out. Sitting down doing the paint and take, talking about Tacticon.
And I wish RC was here.
when you hear just about a half a sentence of somebody and their name and you make an entire personality for them, it's just great. Um, Going out to eat, hugging Joe and Galen and picking them both up to see who I could get higher in the air.
It doesn't help that I like spider monkeyed up you anyway, so.
I mean, it helped me. I'm always up for hugs. Hugging serious business. Um, Sitting down, talking to people, cutting maps with Wiki, even just shooting the shit with Brandon in the hotel, everything. Yeah, that is the best part of any con to me is the connections you make and how far and how long they can go and last. Because it was an errant con game that I met Alex and Andy and the USP crew a couple years ago, and now they put up with my bad jokes because they haven't figured out how to nicely tell me to leave yet. So, but it's been good. Yeah, that would fall into my con experience. Oh, and putting the welcome to America care package on the table for Calvin.
Oh, yeah. So
That's right.
when I first got to the hotel, there was some Timbits and a big bottle of Canada Dry awaiting for me, as
And
well.
And you're clearly Canadian, or clear
Yeah.
as you call it.
I didn't have it in me to say, but I don't know if I've seen clearly Canadian anywhere here before.
It's not Canadian at all.
Okay.
But the joke was too good and I couldn't let it go.
Fair enough. It was pretty good. And those Timbits were pretty good. I feel like I should give my food review of American Tim Hortons. Because I had the breakfast sandwich. I had a coffee, of course. I had a double, obviously. And I had a donut. The sandwich was, it was okay. It was passable for a sandwich. The coffee was not so good, I gotta say, but the donuts, I don't know how they do them down there, but the donut was incredible.
Yeah,
it's all that processed sugar and fried butter.
I mean, one of the greatest things I've ever eaten in my life was an Amish company donut, fresh off the rack. This thing was the size of my face. It was at a music festival. It was amazing. And again, I'm from America, but it's still like, how can you make donuts that good? Don't know.
Yeah, no, it's you guys are spoiled, man. I was in North Carolina like the other week and I was like, dude, what is this place? I can like literally throw a stone and I would be fed beyond my wildest dreams. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, but you guys have helped, so
I mean, I don't know. I don't know about that.
listen, I had homemade cupcakes from just a random lady across the street, and I almost cried. Like,
Old lady
like,
cupcakes are amazing. Yeah.
dude, it was like I've never tasted strawberries before. Like, am I alive? Like,
Yeah.
that's how good they were.
Well, next year, with Calvin is by hook or by crook coming back, we didn't finish our food journey. Calvin's going to get a greasy, fatty,
yes.
cheesy American cheesesteak, and I'm going to subject him to that.
Nice.
Yeah, the goal was to have a cheesesteak on the last day, but yeah.
Speaking of fatty and greasy, I think we also have to drag him to a Waffle House.
I want him to come back.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't know if that's going to be the best choice because I don't.
If you thought the coffee that you ate was bad, I'm not sure how you'll take an entire Waffle House.
Yeah.
I mean, I gotta find out, right?
If you want to.
You don't got to find out, but it's definitely a very American experience.
I would say in how Americans are warned when we go overseas to like, oh, you got to watch out for the water in this place. And then like all that dumb cliche stuff that typically happens. That is our version for you.
Yeah.
Is watch out for places like Waffle House.
Yeah, watch out for the grease and processed food in America. It'll get you.
Yeah, because if you're not used to how much process is in that kind of stuff, it'll mess with you. And I'm just trying to like at one sensitive body to maybe another.
So I have a particular theory about Waffle House. And it's the same theory I keep with a local wrestling show. Allow me to elaborate. If you ever go to a Waffle House or a local wrestling show, I encourage it because it will be entertaining and you will feel like a king amongst men or queen as you look around at the people gathered at these places. I'm not, I will tell them myself, I'm a wrestling fan. I'm a nerd. I'm completely here for it. It's male soap operas, as I've told Calvin.
Mm.
But if you go to any of these shows, you will look around and go, I am the 1%. Same thing with a Waffle House.
Yeah.
These are not people you will see very often, but you will feel kingly for a day.
It's a both places definitely give you a broad cross spectrum demographic of that area and the subcultures therein.
Mm-hmm.
Saying that, knowing full well that like his grandparents are regulars at their local Waffle House.
Yeah, no.
And there's an entire like little subculture around that. Like the people working at the Waffle House get upset if they don't come to their Friday lunch hour for lunch with them, and that they like want to check in with us to be like, are they in the hospital again? Is everything okay? Is everyone, do we need to send a care package? Like,
well, and I think for
so
being an American in the South specifically, I would take it one step further past Deuce's because I would say that evaluation is bullseye, hands down. It's also humbling to know when you aren't one of the kings. When you go in there in sweatpants and you're like, oh,
I am one of the
I
people.
am one. There's someone else who just walked in who is a little bit more kingly. And you know what? I'm okay with that.
I'll tip the Burger King account to you.
$5 to make my belly feel full. That's all I need right now. It's fine.
I am just going to say that I'm a fan of Waffle House, and my kids and I have a tradition of going to Waffle House while we're on vacation at least once.
Nice.
Yep.
You know what? We're for the sake of possibly being sponsored by Waffle House in the future, I think Waffle House is great.
hey, no lie. Not a lie at all. And there's probably a couple of members from USP in this chat, but I have like a private little like, Joe needs help Facebook chat. And the running joke that became the name of this is I have my Waffle House mob, my Waffle House mafia, because yeah, it's just this silly running joke of like, tell us what Waffle House to show up in and we'll throw down and take care of business. And I'm like, you guys are ridiculous. So yeah, no, I am a total fan of Waffle House, the gangster shit that happens in there and the good food too.
Yeah. G stuff.
If I make it to Toronto, Jupe's taking me to a wrestling show, so you're coming too, Calvin.
Yeah.
Sorry, so we now like a whole ass tangent about Waffle House because of Deuce. Sorry, Deuce. Please
No
continue
worries.
what you were saying.
No, that's how the show works. We don't have a plan. That's
Oh yeah. If you want a tangent, give me like 30 seconds. I'll get you on something else.
I was
Hold
gonna
on.
say I would love to talk about local wrestling shows. That's where all the
been on my
crazy stuff
best
happens.
behavior right now. Best
Oh, well.
behavior.
I'll give
Wait,
you
hold on.
stories.
You don't
What
have to
stories
be.
you want?
Wait, hold on, wait. Before that, we should probably get Brandon to introduce to get his opinion.
Yeah, we have been talking a lot.
Yeah.
I do want to give Brandon a chance to also talk about his time at Origins, because you did get there a bit later than everybody else, but you were able to participate in the mega event as well, though.
Yeah. In my real life, pretending to be an adult, I'm a teacher, and I was working summer school, which meant I couldn't get in until Thursday evening. But I had a fantastic time. Like, while my experience with tabletop role-playing games is extensive, my experience with cons is not. I kind of went to Origins once before this. I went to New York Comic Con once. Tagged along with our friend Aaron as a quote-unquote journalist. So I got to, interview Bruce Timm and Camo Pinkett and
Cool.
he's blank. All of a sudden he just went blank on me, but the guy was the guy who did Buffy.
Joss?
Joss, thank you. I don't know why Joss Whedon's name just completely left my mind, but it did.
Because it's
And this was before
You're
we
not the only
discovered
one.
that he was. This was before we
Bruce
discovered that he
Tim.
was a
I'm
human
sorry,
being.
I got
Oh, yeah.
really caught on Bruce Tim.
Bruce Tim, and I got his autograph. He signs his autograph with a little image of Batman's cowl or mask. It's great.
Yep.
Nice.
So I had a great time. Yeah, I got in a couple of days late. But that worked out for me because I am pretty thoroughly a introvert, which all of these fine people will probably be very confused by. Because among my friends, I can be fairly extroverted. But in new and big and crowded spaces, I tend to be a bit introverted. So I got to focus on doing the things that really matter to me, which was just spending actual time with all my friends, which was just a real highlight of, my year, let alone my con. And then I was coming in without a real plan, so I was able to just help out at the mega event as needed. And so I got lucky enough to play in Calvin's part of the game, not once, but twice. He was my GM for both of the sessions.
That's awesome.
I had a fantabulous time.
Yeah, I hope it wasn't obvious how remarkably stressed I was. I think I'll go into details in it when we're talking about the event itself, but I do think people ended up having fun with the games, so I'm happy with that. But yeah,
I played with you enough to know I could tell you were stressed, but you were also doing a fantastic job. So you didn't really have anything to be stressed about.
Oh yeah, this is also like a GM general conversation, but it's very easy to be in your head stressed.
Yes.
While in the real world things are fine.
Yes. It was funny because it's like I could tell you were stressed, but you were doing such a terrific job.
That's like in retrospect, I will agree with you. In the moment, I don't know if I would have agreed with you. Yeah, we could get to talking about because I really do want to talk about the Shadow War event. I didn't want to get onto it too early, but I feel like we'll flim-flam about that for a while. I do also want to quickly, on the YouTube chat, Claude mentions Calvin's American food tier list video next time, and you know what?
Actually, yeah.
We should do that live. That'll be funny.
Fun.
Yeah, Calvin, this is just a table full of food. Just do his video.
Here's the thing: it's Calvin's American food tier list, but it's created by all of his American friends of the places he needs to go and how badly he needs to go to them.
Yeah.
We will bring you cheese dip.
I'm telling you, man. I want to do like a man on the street with Calvin. I think that'll be really good.
I would not mind that at all. The taco place was really good. The other place where we got the sandwiches from was really good. I don't remember the names of places, unfortunately.
Look, I will straight up
the names either.
The food there was bomb. It was so good. Even the stupid little food court downstairs was still good food. And then all the restaurants, we ate so good there.
I will be honest. We ended up accidentally following, and it feels like an old secret that Puppy used, which was the uglier the to-go container, the better the food. Which definitely happened.
It worked. It's so true. Spot on with that rule. I love Aunt Puppy. Anyways, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of wish Aunt Puppy was here because I really, 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 really wanted to talk about her game.
Mm-hmm.
I do too. Yeah.
Maybe next time.
We might need to force her to sit down on a call just to talk that out in general, but
yeah, because I like her game was really fun, and I was just really curious about all her system stuff in it. Anyway, but that'll be a whole other thing. Also in the chat, Claude mentioned that you can witness some of the best brawls at a Waffle House, and Trey says that's true. Growing up in Metro Atlanta, you definitely see some stuff in the Waffle House.
No, and so that very specifically, the Waffle Houses my friends are mentioning are the Atlanta Waffle Houses, which are a very, very different breed. Very different breed.
And then just on top of that, we need to clarify the best brawls in the Waffle House are the ones that involve the employees as well.
Yeah, that very famous video of the worker like just palming the chair and being like, "What? That's average."
Yeah.
No.
Dang.
Unfortunately, it's just that day was caught on camera.
Yeah, it's really that she's not a hero.
Wild,
she just
dude.
got caught on camera.
They have like a policy of, the staff is allowed to do what they need to protect themselves.
Yeah, protect themselves and other patrons.
And
yeah,
there's at work.
Chin chin. All of our Waffle House
funny.
experiences.
I only think of like in Canada, at least in the GTA, it's always like a Popeyes is always in the location where stuff is gonna go down is just like a Popeyes. Like it's like I can't tell if it's because Popeye seeks out those areas or like yeah, but it's good. I mean, I never get disappointed at Popeyes, so like I'm not mad about it. I'm gonna go, but obviously I know
who's
the
mad
risks.
in Popeyes.
Yeah.
Fried chicken.
Also in chat, mention of Shake Master Sam. I love how many in-jokes there. Oh, wait, do you have a...
We have a Shake Master Sam story. We just didn't know that was his name, and we thought he was the most precious ice cream person there, and you guys experienced some other creature that went by the name Shake Master Sam. I don't know. It was wild.
Yeah, I didn't have a direct Shake Master Sam experience, but I love all the little in-jokes and stuff that just... all the memories.
Yes, the memories.
Oh, man. Okay, we should talk about Shadow War.
Yes.
So, USP's, I guess, second mega event? I don't know if last year was the first.
Yes,
I think
it was.
Okay.
Yep.
So, this year, 7 tables. All part of the same overarching story, featuring Shadow, this evil organization from the source setting of Mutants and Masterminds. Bunch of evil goons who had, like, Nazi origins, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So it felt pretty good to punch the crap out of them.
Yes.
Yeah, again, this organization that was dealing with technology and magic and using it to reshape reality, so their leader, Overshadow, would become the overlord of Shadow Earth.
Oh yeah, these names are the best.
I love Overshadow. That was good. Every time you say it, it cracks me up, man. It's like that's the best name that guy could possibly have.
Yeah,
he workshopped that one for a bit. Yeah, so the game itself, to explain for people who might not know or weren't there, it was organized into 2 halves, basically. We started off with the first half, featuring different tables of characters from various Untold Stories projects, dreams, and series. So, all Starhaven characters, Gemstar characters, Freedom League Dark, Something in the Dark, the City of Destiny, the Stormbreakers. Just everybody was there, as well as a table full of a bunch of side characters from those various stories as well. We started off with what seemed like a fairly normal day in those stories, although we ended up facing different members. Some tables were facing different members of Shadows. I think some were doing something else. But partway through the adventure, reality broke, essentially interrupting the first half for everybody. And then when we came back, we ended up in this new reality where Shadow had taken over. Overshadow was the ruler of Earth, and that was sort of the memory that people had for a bit. They believed themselves to be part of that Earth, like that was their history. But at least the way I was playing it, they may have had flashes of the other realities, memories of perhaps better times. Until one of the tables split up, the table that was sort of directly facing Overshadow, split up, and the players from that table were able to go contact the other tables and say, like, this group remembers what reality is. They were able to visit the other tables and give them a mission, essentially, to take away parts and pieces of Shadow's overall plan to sort of start to bring them down. And once the table succeeded, everything reverberated back to the main table, where they would then defeat Shadow, and it would be super cool. So I was running the Heroes of Tomorrow table for the first half, which is basically like the Teen Titans, Young Justice, Young Avengers whole thing for the USP universe. And yeah, I guess I can just get into a summary of things I did on my end, and then I'll just loop back for everybody and just get a summary of things for them as well. And Brandon, you can corroborate some of this stuff. I actually do want to get your player perspective on certain things. Just because I really only had like the GM perspective, obviously. But we started off in like a training simulation with the team, a very early morning training simulation that basically everyone was just facing some, generic goons. I didn't put too much details to them. They were just guys who thought they looked really cool. They exploded a bank and they were walking out with these cartoonish bags with dollar signs on them. You know how it goes. And yeah, they were there mostly just to get beat up by heroes, and give people a chance to like get used to some of their powers, give them a shot to use some of their powers. Because I kind of wanted to get like one of my things as well is, and something I'm gonna have to get used to for next year, is I have trouble like explaining systems with an info dump up front. I'm kind of more of a play and learn sort of GM. Like I would rather explain something as it comes up than like, here's all the rules, try not to forget them. Because I know I would, like, I know an info dump wouldn't work for me. So that was something I had a little bit of trouble with. That's something I'm probably going to, like, I don't think I'm going to use the same intro not if, because I'm going to, when I run Masterminds next year. Like, the intro is really good. It's just not how, it wouldn't work for me, and I don't know if I can communicate it in a way that would work for other people. Oh, hey, Brandon, you're online. So that is something I want to work on. But yeah, what I really wanted to do was just start off with like a combat scenario, let people get used to like using powers and doing skill checks and stuff like that. And then from there, what had happened was the computer itself, it started to have issues, errors. It wasn't able to run the training simulation because it came up with some sort of alert, something that was so important that it couldn't like process anything else. Like that sort of interrupted everything the computer was doing. So we had like a bit of an investigation there, which again was just mostly focusing on rolling some skill checks, providing some information, putting some pieces of stuff together. It eventually led to the players finding an old case file that their headmaster, Duncan Summers, had an interest in, apparently. Something to do with this classic hero by the name of Raven, facing off against this villain by the name of Dr. Sin, who is sort of like if Ra's al Ghul came from China. Still like that immortal crime lord sort of figure. Very, very golden age, I guess. And hopefully not as terrible ways. But anyway, so they discovered it's something to do with a previous crime or caper by Dr. Sin, where he was trying to create like a fleet of airships. This case that supposedly, at the time when Raven and Dr. Sin faced off, Dr. Sin supposedly perished in battle. Supposedly in the way that many comic book villains do. So the heroes were able to track down the location where apparently a new fleet of ships was being rebuilt. This was the thing that set off the computer alert. This was the thing that was so important to Summers that the computer wasn't able to process anything else. But Summers, the headmaster himself, was not present at the school at the time because he was being played at another table. So the students weren't able to reach him, so they had to go deal with things themselves. They showed up at a warehouse with a map that I made by taping like a dozen 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper together, which, gosh, part of me wishes I kept it, but a lot of me was like, this thing just annoys me, I don't want to look at it. So they headed up to that warehouse where they found the ship parts and stuff. They exploded them real good. And afterwards, they were interrupted by.
I'll offer one correction. Wasn't so much exploding as the giant mecha smash.
Yeah, just you
there was explosion. There were explosions.
Yes.
But that's not why things got broken.
As always in superhero stories, stuff gets wrecked. Yeah, so they were able to link up. They were ambushed, I should say, by some shadow agents and the appearance of Dr. Sin himself, as well as his henchmen, which I just used the ninja template for, and then I called them Sinjas because they work for Dr. Sin.
That was a highlight.
So bad, and I love it.
It's terrible, but I couldn't avoid it. Terrible for multiple reasons, but I couldn't avoid the pun. Yeah, they were ambushed, and they just got into a combat, but during the course of the combat, Dr. Sin basically said that he was trying to get Headmaster Summers' attention, because Summers, who at this point the heroes could put together, was the Raven, due to their investigation. Summers was the only man to ever, actually frustrate him, as he described, and he knows that Shadow, this organization that he himself is a part of, sort of a allies of convenience sort of thing. He knows that Shadow is about to do something that's going to be a detriment to his own plans, so not out of altruistic reasons, but more out of selfish ones, he wants to stop them. And he's trying to contact the only person he thinks is capable of that, but he ends up with this group of kids instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very much you can't rule the world, that's my job.
Yeah. So for the first half, they were in combat. They worked to take down some of the shadow goons while trying to communicate with Sin himself, trying to convince him of you tell us what your plan is, or tell us what's going on, and we'll communicate it to Summers. And in the course of that, they were able to get a little bit of information from him, but they were interrupted as reality broke, and Sin said that we were too late to do anything about it, as stuff just immediately changed. And actually, Brandon, I did want to get just any input or perspectives you might have had on the first half. Actually, I don't want to ask anything specific yet. I just want to know maybe your vibes on it. Well, I guess specifically, I am kind of curious how you felt about how the last combat went. I feel like the first one was kind of... Remote wasn't really participating in the first one.
Well, Remote was actively refusing to because he's a surly teenager. But no, I think all the combats went well. They were fun, and I loved the fact that it was... I don't know if you adjusted anything or not, but the fact that Remote could be a surly teenager and the other guys still are able to deal with the issue.
Ooh. Oh, how much behind the scenes stuff do I want to give away?
But that was nice. And then, yeah, just kind of figuring out what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was great.
I feel like the first half I was definitely more prepared with. Especially the major scenes of it. The investigation, I definitely was... I had you GM, you improv stuff. That's just part of the thing. But I kind of had more of a base of knowledge to work off of, because I knew this is the information people need to figure out. This is tiny little pieces of it that they might figure out along the way. And then I just kind of gave that based on degrees of success on the checks. And yeah. I feel like that went pretty well.
It definitely did. And the second fight was fantastic. It was a chance to really get a classic smash 'em up kind of fight. And I think the key to it is I was a little disappointed when the world reset because we had to stop the fight.
True.
And we were having fun.
I hope it came through, but a lot of that fight, because you saw, I had just come off watching a bunch of Power Rangers.
Yes, you did. For those who don't know, Calvin had signed up for a Power Rangers game, having never seen a single episode. So he decided that afternoon that he was going to watch the Tommy arc of Power Rangers. And so We're
supposed to be
hanging out
important.
in the hotel room, and he is just on his phone watching Power Rangers.
Okay, did you cry at some point? Because I remember Tommy's arc made me cry as a kid. I was scarred.
Yeah,
I couldn't imagine just diving into that. Okay, I didn't know you did that to yourself during Origins.
Calvin and I bonded over how I did not like the show as a kid, despite being the prime demographic, and how Calvin said, "Yeah, I probably wouldn't either." But now that we're both adults, we just love how like silly and overwrought and over the top it is.
Yeah. Like I was saying, like if I was younger, I don't think I would have enjoyed it, and that's probably why I didn't watch it. But like watching it now, and all the costumes, and that one
jump
shot
that happened like 30 times.
The repeated like footage, that shot where there was a bus in danger, this bus from like San Francisco, like California or wherever, and for some reason it's got Japanese license plates. Why is that?
Oh my gosh. What?
Oh man. Oh, now I'm getting nostalgic. Now I'm like, they don't make them like they used to anymore.
No, they
no budget.
don't.
I miss the no budget shows. Give me those.
Yeah, it was too much fun. Claude, I haven't watched more yet, unfortunately. I fell behind on like a whole bunch of shows I wanted to watch before the convention, so I'm still trying to catch up on those. But I think I can slot Power Rangers in. I think it's a good background show. It's a good, eating cereal in the morning show.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was the first half. Reality broke.
Were the Singes then like a influenced by the Power Rangers? Is that what happened there?
Yeah, like for that particular fight, just the generic dudes, the Shadow Goons and the Sinjas, they were very much like they're there to move around and do stuff in the background until they have to flop down when they get hit.
Yes. I particularly enjoyed how you managed to collaborate with, I don't remember which player, but the one who very quickly picked up on, hey, Dr. Sin seems a little off. And they got to have they had a secret conversation while they're fighting.
Nice.
It was just really great.
Yeah, I did like that aspect. I like that as much as there was punching, there was also trying to like communicate and figure out the problem.
I think my other favorite part was your face not being on mute when I, in my giant mecha form, just came down on the building and ripped a giant hole in it. And you're just like this, okay, guess we're doing this.
No one's ever described the Heroes of Tomorrow as subtle.
No.
So that was my first half, and then we went into the second half, where again reality flipped. So the Claremont Academy, where the heroes live or are educated, was now the Shadow Academy, where they were trained in the ways of being bad dudes and doing evil things, like I don't know, not washing their hands when they use the washroom or whatever. So this was the part where I did have to flim-flam quite a bit more, because I did not think this would go on too long. I thought we would do the like reveal pretty quickly. So I had like, here's where people can start. Like I know what characters are going to be at the table, because the tables did switch up, but we know which characters are going to be there. So I was like, okay, this person's going to be here. This person's going to be doing this. There's a little bit of like, I know where everyone's going to start. I didn't have as much of a plan for like what will happen if we keep going. And then we kept going. And there was a lot of keeping going at that particular point in time.
I think that was, I mean, if I were to say weak point, I think that's overstating it. If there was a less strong point, I loved the guy playing
was it Bulwark?
Bulwark. Thank you. That was I'm terrible with names. The guy playing Bulwark, because he was able to find a way to kind of navigate that whole we kind of know but we don't.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was the thing that I struggled with, and I think the other players struggled with as well, where it's like, are we supposed to play this straight and we're dismissing these dreams. Are we supposed to incorporate them and act in a particular way? And so when Bulwark started kind of like, having senior moments and talking about things the way they didn't happen, it just became very easy for me to jump on as a surly teenager, correcting him like he's an idiot. And that ended up making some pretty good moments. But I think that was the only thing I'd qualify as like, yeah, it was just something I struggled with because it just didn't seem very clear how we were supposed to be reacting.
I do wonder, like, looking back, if there was an issue of just, like, because, like, for some players as well, they might not have been super familiar with these characters, so then having to act them in different scenarios might not have been... But also, like, I don't know what happened at other people's tables, so... Maybe it was just a bit of an issue there, but it was... That particular point is the part that I know that I struggled the most with. I'm glad people enjoyed some of it still. I'm glad for the certain players I had at the table.
There were so many comedy moments from that fight in the gym/computer room.
Oh yeah. Once the players got around and they revealed what was going on, and then the players had their mission at my table, that's when the ball really started rolling.
Yeah, the way Portal just destroyed Bowman. Because I think who was the other villain that he deflected a shot from and just came down on Bowman's head? He's like, oh!
It was Megastar. He was doing like some sort of blast. And Portal opened a portal, as he does, and redirected it at Evil Bowman. So I should explain. The players... So they received this message from Headmaster Summers that reality is not as it should be. Oh, Brandon, I don't know what happened to your camera there.
Oh.
Or did you just disappear?
It's okay.
Okay. Reality is not as it should be. So what they need to do from the Academy, because again, each table is dealing with a different aspect of how Shadow's plan is working. So for our table, it was dealing with the supercomputer, which is running a bunch of calculations needed for this reality-altering techno-magic spell. They needed to overload the computer so it couldn't run those processes. What it would also do, because everything was affecting different tables' enemies, it would also take away the +2 bonus that enemies were getting for attacks. And there were different tables that would like affect toughness or affect enemy spawns and things like that. So they headed down there. They headed towards the computer, and the moment like they started taking on the computer, it was like, I'm having none of this. And it sort of created a simulation around them, similarly to the first half. But it was of the school itself. So they started off in the gymnasium. They got ambushed by Bowman and Megastar. Actually, no, I think Megastar was like a reality ripple induced villain.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right.
Reality ripples being something that was a mechanic of the second half, where players or GMs could roll on a table for different things to happen, some good, some bad. One of them being like spawning in a villain.
Yeah, and the thing was, the reality ripples the table. Odds were bad things for the players, evens were good, and across 5 or 6 different rolls, we rolled odd every single time.
Yeah.
Yeah. You kind of did.
It was so... It was just like, oh...
Yeah, it was kind of rough. I think you did get one positive one towards the end of it, but yeah.
I think it's because you basically gave it to us. You're like, I'll let you roll again. Or you rolled for a ripple, and you gave us the option to spend points so that you would roll again.
Yes, yeah, that was it, yes. Because you can spend points to make the GM re-roll on the table.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got into that combat, and what I wanted to do with this combat was I wanted it to not just be a brawl, I wanted there to be like a secondary goal. So you had to fight the villains, which were basically the corrupted versions of the original next-gen superhero team, as well as destroy these exposed computer terminals, which were little tokens that I made out of Lego, little R2-D2 looking dudes.
I love it.
So yeah, the players had to go around there either doing skill checks or just smashing them to destroy them while dealing with the villains. Remote evaded my carefully planned water trap by being a person who flies.
And then just bugging out of there before whoever or whatever was in the trap tried to get him.
You sure did. I did have, which was very exciting. Oh, I have it right here. So I got this little candy thing that was shaped like a soda can.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
I got it like the day before, and I was like, I'm gonna do something with this. So I
Oh,
used this
great.
as like an evil vending machine.
It
I
was
love
shooting
it.
out hypersonic cans of Coke.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. I'm glad everyone enjoyed that part. Yeah, I think once we got into that combat, things really started flowing. The players were successful, and then I communicated that to Claude, who was our runner GM, who hopefully you get to talk to. Claude, I think, was the busiest person that night.
Oh man,
Yes. Yes, he was.
Claude ran a
MVP right
marathon.
there.
Mhm.
Yeah. Holy crap.
And
I
then,
felt
yeah.
bad that my helping was playing the game and his helping was do everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely felt the same way.
I felt great comfort whenever I saw Claude around.
Yes.
Especially again because I was struggling with certain parts, so I was like, my lifeline is there.
See, he keeps saying struggling in certain parts. The only time that I felt even the hint of a struggle, of an actual struggle, I could see it on his face because Calvin's face is never on mute.
Never.
But the only time that actually kind of like there felt like he was uncertain was in that in between time where we were just unsure of how we should play it. Like, are we bad guys? Is our good side breaking through? Kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think that was the only thing. Like, because I mean, I can look back at it and be like, that was the one thing, and then all the other stuff was really good. It's just in the moment. But I mean, anybody who runs a game knows how that goes.
Anything that goes less than perfect feels like an absolute failure in the moment. And everything that went perfect feels like you got by the skin of your teeth.
Yeah.
And then,
the truth.
Yeah. And then you pull your head out of the water afterwards, and you're like, oh, yeah, I'm fine. I'm still here.
Like, that went really, really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my first and second half. I do want to cover everybody's stuff in Shadow War. I'm just looking at the time. I don't know if we want to do a break now and come back, or if we want to just keep going for a bit longer, because it is near 8:30.
Let's see. So Deuce was the other GM there, and Brandon and I were players. So it's just 3 more perspectives. I'm not going to have like an in-depth analysis like you had. Deuce, do you want to go ahead and talk about your GMing experience then?
It's up to you if you want me to open up this onion.
Open that onion.
I don't know if you're allowed to say onion on this channel without invoking certain curses.
Brian's not here.
Fair. So I had the Guardians of Haven. Think your Guardians of the Galaxy, if you will, your spacefaring heroes. Which was fun. So part 1 was the Guardians going to meet a resistance cell as they're gathering allies to fight against Lady Luna. And you can't fight an army with 6 people, so get some more people on your side. So in course, flying out and meeting up with this resistance cell, they show up at the hideout, only to find it's already been attacked, ransacked, destroyed. The resistance cell has, to a man, been decimated, and they find some of Lady Luna's guards. They do some investigation, pull up the footage, find out that these particular guards also had the ability to, do fun things like shoot fire from their hands, or have claws, or have a lot of fur. Fun, weird things that aren't really normal for the guards that you would expect. Thus begins the onion. We peel back the layers. So as they go, well, we should probably get back to the ship, they walk out of the hideout, only to find, of course, more guards waiting for them, because of course it's a trap. It's always a trap. They fight. It was a good time had by all. They take one of the guards prisoner and manage a daring escape, which was a lot of fun. The guard they took prisoner, the Miss Alara, who Calvin might be very intimate with, decided to do some mind reading and figure out what the fudge is going on, wondering why you work for Lady Luna. Mind reading is fun. You go, well, who's your real boss? And they find this strange crater ape or space monkey who was performing gene experiments on soldiers and modifying them into super soldiers with different traits and or abilities. They went, oh, okay, so that's the big boss. My particular minion rolled very poorly, so when she said, so that's the big boss, she got an image of Overshadow, who they didn't know who that was, but I showed them a picture, and they went, oh, that looks freaking terrifying, and went,
Yeah.
well, okay. But anyway, so they continue to track, figure out what's going on. The crux of it was they found out Zeitgeist was modifying soldiers as a tryout to join Shadow and create super soldiers for them. They tracked down his gene splicing facility, went in, started wrecking shop on the place before the world got mixed up. They bounced around, turned upside down, all that good stuff. And we took our break. Which I will admit is a part I do like on these big mega games because it is a 6+ hour game. So it kind of forces you to get up, move a little bit, and meet some other people instead of being with the same group for the whole 6 hours. That's part of the, I know, behind the scenes stuff, but I think it helps benefit meeting new people and trying out different perspectives, especially on a really long game like that. So part 2, Shadow 1, the universe is rewritten, and I was dealing with the crossroads. Performing a ritual to rewrite all of reality takes a lot of power. And to help finalize and make the ritual permanent, they were siphoning off the energy of the shadow, or the crossroads, excuse me, into the world to try and empower and complete this ritual in its entirety. So their job was, as they found out later, was to stop the towers or spires from siphoning the power off, thereby helping depower the ritual so it can be reversed and everything turned back to normal. They did a great job. They took out the substations. They got through that fairly well. They did it methodically. And I was about roughly halfway through. The problem being that in this particular universe, the Freedom League, that's the capital F, capital L, Freedom League, were all dead. And were the defenders of the crossroads. So 4 members of them showed up to deal with the heroes who were trying to stop their plans. So Bowman, yes, I played as speedsters, Johnny Rocket, Thunderbolt, and I'm trying to remember who else. There was one more. I think it might have been Dr. Metropolis, I believe. All showed up, and yeah, the second half of their table was survive. So their whole mission was don't die, as the 4 members of the Freedom League are just going to throw everything they could at them.
Yeah.
It was a good look on their faces. They go, oh crap. And yeah, sorry, it was Aelin. He was one who Bowman put 6 arrows to from a beautiful sniper shot across the field. So yeah, it went great. And at the end, when they finally reversed the ritual, stopped mid-fight, and they went, oh god, we lived, thank goodness. So yeah, it made it for an interesting game. Plus, a challenge of this big event is having 7 tables, trying to get them to end at the same time. So having them, I wanted to give them a goal that they could achieve relatively early in the second half, but also have enough content after the fact that even if they finish their goal, they're not done. Mm-hmm. So I think it gave them something to really bite down on and live through, while also not making them feel like, hey, we did our part. Woo, now what?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Fair. You did mention that you had the person playing Alara at your table, who, if I wasn't so just like absolutely wiped out after the game, because I heard some stories about how she was playing the character. Alara, for people who don't know, is my character from the Guardians of Haven. The super psychic from the dark side of the moon, who bordered on villain for a bit. I did in the last couple sessions of that campaign. She did like literally leave the party to go do villain crap. So I really like hearing how other people play that character, and I'm really glad that this person, she just immediately adapted to the character.
She was a little more white hat, but she still like you, eyes on the prize.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
Ethically challenged PC.
Yeah, she's a bit of a mess. She's gonna have some stuff to deal with in season 2.
You think?
Which I'll say is something I really like in these big games, because I think a lot of us, I think everybody grows a certain attachment to their own characters, because you put a bit of yourself and a bit of work and hope into these characters that we make to play in the games. And it's a thing to hand it to someone else and go, show me what you got. You want it, you think it should be played a certain way, but I really like seeing how different people take something that I've made and do something completely different, or maybe they see the same thing, whatever it may be. But I think it gives you really unique perspective, and sometimes gives you really great ideas. Just letting other people take something you made and kind of run with it and see what happens.
Yeah, like
Well, and speaking of characters, I learned a very valuable lesson.
Oh,
Never pick your
Because
nose in public. Yep.
that too. But I am fond of playing characters with complex powers, so that I can get exactly kind of how I want their powers to work. And I learned a very valuable lesson. That lesson is I love dynamic arrays where you can change around the point values. But if you're working with pen and paper instead of on, Hero Lab where it's just the click of a button, even if you're intimately familiar with the character, it could be hard as hell to work that character out. And so I learned in time for next year, I am creating simplified versions of my characters for all of the people playing them. Because, yeah.
that is something.
When even I'm struggling, then I know this is way too complicated.
That was something I was worried about for Bowman specifically, because as far as the characters that I contributed to this wonderful story, Speed Demon's pretty straightforward. He's got speed powers and fire powers. Alara's pretty straightforward because she's mostly just psychic stuff. Ruby is very straightforward, just punch.
Yep.
Ruby is my relaxation character. But Bowman, because it was Bowman at level 12, so he had at least a dozen arrows.
Coming up with more every other session.
He's at 20 something now.
Here's an adamantium arrow. Here's a Pym particle arrow.
His quiver can legally drink alcohol. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just a way to simplify and get to just, here's the essence of the character. Go have fun. And then I think what I'm going to do is just be like, yeah, here's 2 versions. You pick which one you want to play. If you are really comfortable with the system, you can consider this. But here is the much simplified that you just go out and have fun.
I think that's something I might do for Bowman next year, is because I kind of just sent like Bowman at level 12 as I was playing him, and I feel like that's not enough for a new player to or rather too much for a new player to deal with.
Yeah.
All my other characters, there's really straightforward. Unless you do like some sort of edge case that requires you to know the system, they're pretty straightforward.
Yeah. My big thing is just my love of dynamic arrays, and so that can get really math intensive real quick.
Yeah, I haven't leaned into like you or Andy, I haven't really leaned into making super complex characters with the system. I know it's possible, but I'm not gonna bring that out during a game.
I just have way too much free time.
It is after 8:30, so I did want to get more player perspective. But I think we're gonna take a break now for a few minutes, and then we'll come back and we'll probably wrap up this chat and maybe get into that fun other thing I wanted to do.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, we'll hop off for a few minutes and then we'll come back and yeah, we'll keep talking about Shadow War. And I will switch to break on mine.
Awful compliment.
We are on break on my side.
Oh. How long are we doing? 10 minutes? 5?
No, that was my big discovery was the thing I wanted to explore. my characters are too complicated for a convention mega event, and I just need to have a much simpler, fair version of it.
Can I interest you in a Gator Man?
No, I mean it's fun here, you guys. I don't know how long is the second half gonna be. Is
Forever.
okay. Okay. Yeah, I think I might hop off between the break just because if there's a way for me to go out now because I just have I don't think I can stay up till I can't stay till 10 but now I'm kind of pushing my luck a little bit. Yeah. No, for sure, yeah. Let's gotta go check on my wife too. I have a lot of house stuff to do, man. Yeah, so. For sure.
Very good to meet you.
Yeah, it was nice meeting everybody. And yeah, we should just do this more. This sounds way easier on feature Calvin because like you don't have to edit anything. Maybe we should just do the podcast live more often. Yeah.
Fuck it, we're doing it live.
Yeah. Oh yeah, true. Okay. All right, y'all. Catch you guys later.
Later.
Bye.
That's not right. It's not one.
You're back.
Okay, and we are back, and we have lost one cast member and gained a new one in Claude. Claude, I'm gonna have you introduce yourself real quick, and then we're gonna talk some player stuff with. We're gonna talk some player stuff, and then we're going to talk about the MVP of the night, which is Claude.
So let's not overhype this too much. But yeah, I am Claude. As far as RPGs go, I've been running them for about 12 years now. Started in college with Pathfinder First Edition, and a roommate roped me into his game, and then I started running Mutants and Masterminds, joined in on their vampire campaign, all that good stuff. And this Origins was actually the first Origins I've been to. It's also the first place I GM'd at a con. And my first involvement with USP, all. So it was very much like they just kind of rolled the dice and took a chance on this weirdo that kind of knew Alex and was highly recommended by RC, who was also there. And yeah, that's and I was the runner GM once the others had become players. So
Although that, to be
fun
fair,
time.
that's like kind of the story of how we all kind of joined the Untold Stories project.
Okay, good. I'm on the right track then. I'm following
weird person who kind of knows Alex.
Yeah, that was me, but not
following the Calvin track. I'm good with that. That seems like a solid direction to go. But yeah, I'll get into more of the runner GM stuff in a little bit. That is me. Hello.
So yeah, I do want to hear about whatever chaos was going on at the Gemstars table.
Yeah. So that was me. Showed up as just a alternate or runner or whatever, and I got plugged in with my own character of Sodalite from Gemstars, joined by Aunt Puppy as Alexandrite of Gemstars, which that meant they actively wanted chaos goblins at those tables to put Aunt Puppy and I in those specific characters together. Like, so the other two players at our table were this adorable older couple, and they played Ruby and Emerald, and fucking automatically leaned into that romance in the most adorable way, to where I was so distracted by their cuteness. I went over to Claude and I was like, I don't know where you want to note this down, but like, they leaned so hardcore into the cuteness. Please note the gay. Note that straight couple was here for the gay. Like, it was amazing.
I love it. Oh, that makes my heart
so proud.
No, it made me so happy. And Aunt Puppy and I like even gushed over it, like at the table. Galen was just like, he was running around doing his own thing, but he witnessed the fact that it was obviously two extremely chaotic extroverted people on one half of the table, and the two newbie introverts were on the other half of the table.
I mean, I got to see it with the runner GM. I was bouncing in and out that night of going to do my own thing, writing and preparing for some of my games the next day. So I would come in and out, and from an outside observer's perspective, as well as just like I wasn't in the game at all, it seemed like it went really great. I mean, it was bouncing. There was excitement from each group, but I also have very little experience actually analyzing mega events, even though I've apparently done them. I never had to gauge how well they did, other than just the initial like, good. Anyone died? No? Okay.
No fights happened.
But yeah, no, it was really neat getting to see like every couple, blocks of 30 minutes that I would come in and seeing people switch around. And yeah, it was also just the way that I think that the games went out is Joe and Aunt Puppy just kept being with these two particular people that were very introverted in comparison. I don't know how they are in other aspects, but in comparison to those two,
yeah,
so,
massively introverted.
Wiki was Wiki was my first GM at the Gemstars table, ran us through traditional kind of little mission. Weird hiccup was that a couple of our teammates were elsewhere trying to track down some weird stuff because Costa showed up, motherfucker. See, the other gym stars are instantly like, him. Yeah. So, that motherfucker showed up again. Soda Light's coming out. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
And because she was mad, and I rolled trash at that first table. Literally, I couldn't get over a 5 no matter what dice set was presented in front of me. It was so bad. I didn't hit anything, and the poor lady playing Ruby wasn't doing the best on her rolls as well, and so she kept whiffing, and so she kept looking at us going, are you sure this character works? And Puppy and I were like, we promise Ruby only punches. Just when she connects, badass things happen. We promise.
Mm-hmm.
Break happens. I literally run to the hotel room, get a new set of dice, and run back down. Oh, now I start rolling okay. All right, fine. My new set of dice really, really wanted to be used.
That makes sense.
Anyways, it was drama at our table because I was rolling shite. They handled their stuff. We got I nearly got not nearly. I was stabbed by Acosta at the very end, and then the reality shifted, and so I wasn't dead, thank goodness. Which is par for the course of Soda.
Yeah.
Like,
if you had a nickel for every time that happened.
She has this interesting relationship with death that probably needs to be covered in the second season. Don't know. But she didn't die yet again, weirdly. Pop up in a new team situation where then I have a slight existential crisis because Alara is on our team, and my character is very confused by that individual of a cat, maybe human moon person thing. Soda isn't the brightest, so she's just categorically confused by Alara and knows she's a bad guy. That poor introverted couple stuck with me at the second table. Sorry, but Ruby then started popping off things, and her emerald husband was just rooting for her. And again, they were fucking adorable the entire time. Existential crisis came in because then Dr. Irons was at the table as well, who's the other character I've made for USP. And so then having someone else play Carol at the same time I'm playing Soda was wild. But then because I had so much of Carol's lore stuck in my head, RC was the second GM and lots of things were going on, and we were fighting the pseudo-Nazi eugenic lab making the not super soldiers. And that mission, well, we just wrecked house quite literally, because Soda did fuckery and stole some C4 and planted it in places to cause an explosion, and then Carol just decided to punch the building in two at one point, and Emerald just kept looking at things going, that doesn't look very lucky, and it would break.
Nice.
We gutted this poor lab, and it was a hard fight, don't get me wrong, but it was definitely, the roles were correct, and RC was just like, yeah, this is how it plays out. So we just tore apart this lab.
Hearing you describe it, like, is there a team more suited to collateral damage than Ruby, Emerald, and Carol?
Carol. Yeah. And Liz playing Carol, she was like, I think she got some catharsis out, because like once she figured out how to do like the directional slam and the punch, oh no, she was wrecking house, and I was just in the corner going, I'm gonna stab someone as soon as I can. Kill it. And yeah. I think we were technically the second table to finish our mission, and then we were just fucking with things at that point of like spending all of our points, rolling extra, and sending fuckery to other tables to just be like, we win.
Yeah, thanks for that, by the way.
It was, yeah. So from a player perspective, hella fun. From like the behind the scenes perspective, totally trippy to experience my characters in a brand new way, and that was so rewarding. And for a mega event type situation, I really loved the mechanic idea of switching up teams, especially in the middle of combat, that gave like a sense of urgency that I hadn't experienced before in a long form single long form one shot that this technically was. And I loved the mystery of our extra synchronicity points that we gathered in the first session to then use in the second one. Because I think this is just me as a player. I enjoyed mysteriously collecting these tokens and not knowing what the fuck this was about or why or how we were getting it. But just at the end, like, we did good enough to where I got 5 of these mysterious coins. Hells yes. Resource collected. And then finding out in the second half how powerful that resource was. Okay, new tactic, insert, let's go. And I can't wait to have the opportunity to play with all of that again as a player. So yeah.
I mean, I didn't have much else to see and observe because, you know, this was something from earlier in the first part of all this is, you know, saying like, what's everyone's favorite game? And it better be Mutants and Masterminds. So I am familiar with Green Ronin for the purposes of Pathfinder and their resources for that. But I actually have never played Mutants and Masterminds. I'm just, you know, a spouse of, so I got to see everything, you know, through the lens of being at the desk behind us and seeing you guys play. But like, so I have no context of USP in the game rule set itself. So just as like a mega event, like it looked fun. Everybody had a good time. You know, tomfoolery happened a lot.
As it should.
Yeah,
I think
Tomfoolery.
I feel like it's a good benefit of it is Mutants and Masterminds is a great game. I will give it that. But if you have good people, even a terrible game could be a lot of fun. And I'm lucky in the fact that everyone that I find myself associated with are really good people who tell a really good story. The benefit is the fact we have a really good system on top of it, which makes it even easier. But yeah, like all those little things, that's what makes it great. And the moment you get at the end of it, the stories you tell are the best part of it.
Facts.
Yeah. Shoot, I had a thought and I just immediately lost it.
Take that, Tangent Masters back.
No. There was something I wanted to say and now it's just completely gone.
I think we do need to talk more about Tacticon.
Tacticon. Yeah,
like,
for people who will, I guess no one will know because it's an inside joke. RC, the GM for Masks and Mayhem, which you should check out if you're into Mutants or Masterminds, he was there as well. We were sharing a room, and he was preparing for his Mutants and Masterminds game, which is it was based on a stream that was done previously on the Masks and Mayhem channel. The Redacted Rangers, sort of the Suicide Squad of that Mayhem universe, which I see Cho smirking over there.
Yeah, because if you want to see my true Chaos Goblin character, it's not Soda. It's not. It's Tattitude.
Tattitude.
Like,
I've had to fight Tattitude, so yeah. I know the chaos.
She is. She a messed up girl. Nope.
Yeah, Tattitude's pretty cool. But yeah, I was with him when he was like preparing the characters and stuff. He was mostly using like some of the template characters from the book, and he was coming up with names for them. And among the very cool names, one of them was Tacticon, who immediately just got the cool voice like Tacticon, always ready for danger. He had his catchphrase, which is Tacticon line, and his car, the Tacticon Convertible.
Oh my god.
No.
Yes,
I forgot that one. Yeah, I forgot about that. That's inspired.
Didn't he have a sidekick, the Tacticonstruct? Or something like that?
Anything that starts with con, he had it. Yeah, so the entire weekend, just randomly, just someone would say something Tacticon, and we would have to respond with the Tacticon voice.
Tacticon was always ready to go.
I do also. So there. No, actually, you know, I want to talk to Claude about Shadow War. I had another thing I do want to cover, but I will cover it after Shadow War stuff, because we're still talking about Shadow War. I'm just making a mental note in my brain because I really want to talk about the Matinee Adventures crossover game. The one, it was Power Rangers, Transformers, and G.I. Joe, and it was a ton of fun. Really good Saturday morning cartoon vibes. I really want to get into that, but I do want to talk to Claude about his experience being the runner GM during the Shadow War event. Just catching up on the chat, I do want to say hi to Mitchell. Hope you're doing better, dude. It is nice to see you hanging out, though. But Claude, so there were a bunch of people there as runner GMs for the Shadow War event, this mega event, who were supposed to be going around communicating stuff between tables. But we had some gaps as far as players go. So they had to fill in, like a lot of the runner team had to fill in that space. Which then left Claude as basically the guy.
One.
The one.
And I would say the one that was, of the people doing it, least prepared to be the runner GM. Not like that I wasn't informed enough. Like I was definitely kept up to date with like what was going on and everything, but I didn't have the experience of being a runner GM before or like helping out with this event. So luckily for me, Joe had a nice little like drawn up note of the tables and like what points I needed to look for people to hit. So basically there was particular story beats that I needed each table to hit to keep everyone like aware of the fact that people were hitting those so that the times could all line up for when we took our break and then whenever things started again. So I had to wait for like the big third act finale of that first game and run back and like, hey, Alex, these two have finished. And like, yeah, I had like little notes that I was passing people and handing just to keep everyone in the loop about that. But I didn't know I was supposed to be doing that until I was handed the notebook and was like, hey, go get the things. And luckily all the GMs knew what they were doing. So I got to just kind of like, hey, the thing, when is it happening? And they knew what I was talking about. So that was really good. And it all lined up perfectly after that. I will say it was really cool, like watching all these tables go down, like everything that was happening, because I would walk around and kind of just pause and look, and like the vibes were unreal. I'd go past a table and people are like just cracking up at something that happened, or you can see that they're like super invested or like kind of having little like side conversations like about the abilities that they wanted to use coming up. So it was really cool. Everyone seemed incredibly invested. And then in the second half, when they introduced the reality ripples, that's when things got really like I had to be paying attention to what was going on because an effect that they could roll could give a different table a bonus. I'd have to run up and let that table know. But yeah, it was super wild happening, like watching it happen. And then when people hit their big objectives in the second half, they would unlock like effects that hit all the other tables. So I'd have to run and hand those off, and then seeing as like they kept like an avalanche was forming as one group would finish and their success would help the next one achieve, and it was just like dominoes falling by the end of it. It was really cool, but I was running everywhere. The GMs were fantastic at like immediately using whatever I gave them from the other GMs. They were like, okay, here's what happens, like just on top of it with putting it into effect immediately, but in a fun way for the story. And yeah, I was so impressed. But just like when I got to sit back and just like this is crazy that this event is happening. Like just sit back and see like they all just got a boost from that other table and everyone's feeling it. Was really cool. Yeah, it was insane. I had a great time with it. I'm like, man, I want to be part of the story of it, but honestly, being the runner GM was just like you kind of got to bask in what was going on in a way that I don't think the other GMs really got to like soak in it, you know?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's an
And
it was
amazing
really
perspective.
cool.
Thank
yeah,
you.
the players too. I think that's such an awesome. And I will say that like, yeah, I might know the rules and kind of the situation a little better, but quite frankly, if I had been the only runner GM, I would have died.
Oh no.
Same here.
So all of the respect to you.
Yeah.
Miss
See, I also
Violet
had the
Violence
fun of,
says
like-
you deserve a hero point for your job well
Yes.
done.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Permanent
Thank you.
hero point.
You really do.
Permanent hero. That seems a little broken, but we'll We'll address that. A permanent hero
No,
point.
you got it.
That's pretty strong.
Hey, fuck it. Take it. The GM fucked up.
You've
You
earned
say
it.
yes, and you take it. Don't back down.
It was amazing. Thank you. I will accept it. But yeah, it was really amazing. It was the only point of the convention, like the end of it, is when I got that slight like GM crash that a lot of GMs get. Like the whole weekend, I didn't get it because it was just such like the games were good and then they were over. They were really short, but that one, the event was like so good and it just reached such a height that there's really no choice but like right after to be like, oh, it's over. And it's a weird feeling, like you get that relief, but it's also like, oh man, that was really cool and it's done.
Yeah.
And you just want the next one already. Like yeah. Really,
Yeah.
really cool event to be a part of. And I'm super thankful that I was invited along and such a great group, so welcoming. Like it was, yeah, fantastic.
Yeah,
Don't mess me up though,
definitely.
because now I want to do it like every convention. So. I can't believe you've done this.
Are you gonna be running again?
Oh, for sure, for sure. Well,
Nice.
I'll be running games and maybe be the runner GM, but I don't know. I have games in mind that could fit into the big event. We'll just have to see what the next event is next time.
Oh, he's got that itch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's there.
I will also give you the personal thank you at the start for the first half. You were invaluable on that one and trying to hit that time mark because I got them
it was-
going. They were moving, and you're like, okay, so where are you at on finishing this? I'm like, what do you mean finishing? Oh, I'm like, okay, I got it. And you're like, all right, I'll be back. Pushed him
Your
along.
ability to roll with the punches of like, okay, I'm behind everyone on the timing. How can I maneuver to get there? And you did like right on time. Was like really good, really flexible GMing on your part.
That was fun. And actually, one of the moments of you bringing me so many bloody notes, which did brilliant for the team. I say that only in exasperation of someone who adored every moment of it. But to use a similar example from earlier in the night, after the spirit of the dead bowman shot Aelin with 6 arrows and a cool sniper shot, one of the cards he got before that next round could happen was to remove the result of the last successful attack, which was Bowman putting 6 arrows into Aelin's chest. So time reversed and they were pulled right back out and said, you can take away the bruised, dazed, and staggered you just took because those arrows never hit you, and they all cheered. So
Wow.
That's amazing.
I didn't remember hearing that was the exact result of it. That's super
yeah,
cool.
it was a good one.
That's epic.
The only way to make Bowman miss is to reverse time itself.
First time.
True.
Oh my gosh,
Or have
that's
him try to shoot
intense.
against Portal.
That's
Also,
intimidating.
yeah, you got to mess with time and space to make Bowman miss.
The
Exactly.
only way.
The only shot he missed is the one he never took. That's exactly right.
Oh no.
The lore is
Amazing.
building more.
Looking at the YouTube chat, Stark Scrap says, "Hey, I know Claude. Yeah,
Hey, yeah, I know that person. That is a player of mine.
Claude's
Hey.
a cool guy."
I think we gotta start turning that into a thing of just like a friendly rivalry between Bowman and Portal.
I can see it.
Oh, because
Of just, bet you can't hit me, bet I can.
I will say I've been
can.
blessed with like insane rolls when playing Bowman on streams before, because I've done it once for Green Ronin, and it was a whole thing where Bowman just was way better than he had any reason to be. It's just
Because he's the Bowman.
lore,
Exactly.
lore carries him so far. Like,
It is not possible for Bowman to be better than Bowman has any right to be, because Bowman has the right to be the best.
Until it comes to any sort of relationship.
Yes.
yeah,
Until
I
it
was about
comes
to say
his judgment on people he falls for.
Yeah, he can't help himself. Ramon in the chat as well says, "Runner GM sounds fun. I would love to be the middleman." Yeah.
Cool.
I hadn't even thought of just the perspective of being able to see pieces of everybody's game.
I mean, it's great training for a marathon.
also that. I'll say you don't get to see all the games fully is the only rough part. Is it's like such a tease because you're like, oh, this is cool, but I can't stick around and watch it any longer. I have to make sure they're okay.
Yeah, I mean, you
Yeah.
say you didn't get to see the other tables fully. I mean, we didn't get to see the other tables any. So
That's a good point. I'm like, oh, I only got to see like 20% of their games, and you haven't seen any. So
Mhm.
I'm selfish like that. want all of it.
Fair enough.
Does it mean so say we all?
Gosh, is there anything else from Shadow War that we haven't specifically covered yet?
I think the trophies went well at the end.
Yes, the trophies.
I think everyone had a really fun time with those.
So I will admit, when that was happening, I wasn't feeling too great for reasons that we don't need to get into. I was maybe a little more anxious about the whole thing than I originally may have thought I would have been. So I had to speed out for a sec. So I did miss certain things. So
yeah.
How did the trophies go?
I guess I'll jump back in. Yeah, I abstractly knew about the trophies from like behind the scenes stuff, but as a player, I didn't know what the fuck that was about. And so having all of the little explanations and the announcements and everything was super cute. And I definitely, even though, yeah, it was totally participation trophy kind of vibe, but the reasons for each of the trophy were phenomenal and heartbreaking to hilarious to like on point. And it was just, that was something new and different from all of the other games that I either saw other people playing or participated in myself here or at other places. So I have my little trophy for the worst rolls of the night somewhere in our room right now, because yeah, fuck yeah, I definitely need a reminder of never rolling over a 5 for 3 hours straight. Like, yeah, great little chef's kiss to the end of the night on that one from me.
Yeah, all of them were very specifically made and named, including the Calvin Award for Role Playing Excellence, the CARE Award. But they were specifically decided upon what they were going to be for before the event even started. And it was good to see also having 7 GMs putting their heads together to put forth candidates and decide who gets what. But we did it pretty seamlessly. And for a lot of people, it kind of gave them that moment to tie everything together, because while we did move people around, not everyone got to sit with everyone. Not everyone got the whole story. So it gave people a chance to just, hey, here's a little bit about what happened over here, and kind of bring everyone together a little bit. I think the other thought is just, you know, as much as we loved running the game, we can't do it without the players. So I think many of us appreciate everyone who was there playing just as much as they appreciated us running it for them. So
it's true.
Yeah. Like we had mentioned the Bulwark player at my table earlier, and I had because each table had their own individual awards, and then there were like other awards that applied to all the tables, and I had nominated him for the valedictorian award at the next gen table. Just because, again, of how well he really role played those memory switching situations. And yeah, again, like you just said, can't play the game without players, and I just really appreciated how much the players helped me get through the first part of that second half.
I mean, it really felt like not every single person. Realistically, like 90% of the people who showed up to that room to play those games were all completely willing to throw everything to the side and just have fun with the player put in front, like the character put in front of them. Mm-hmm. There's always going to be persnickety people about that stuff, but once everyone got settled at their tables, they vibed, and this is kind of like a Joe to USP statement once again of like, it was a really fun game. It was a blast. It was a brand new experience for most of the people in that room. Even if they had played Mutants and Mastermind before, listening to the people beforehand, and whenever I was walking around making sure everyone was checked in and all of that, talking about like what power sets they liked, like everyone was so amped just to participate, to be there and to just commit to this giant story of chaos that we were all willing to participate in. And that's what made it so much fun. And so many people were there just for fun and story, that the handful that were just like all of the spikiness of like that player BS, like there were so many great people in the room that we just kind of wiped them to the side to be like, yeah, you can have your moment in the corner, go have your emo moment, it's fine. And then everyone else had a really great time. Like all of the other players, like strangers I didn't know, were just big smiles and grins on the way out. So, like, unbiased, biased, I don't care what you want to call me, but there was plenty of proof on the faces and demeanor of every single patron or player that left that room. Everyone was freaking happy.
Yeah, for sure.
And
yeah, I was just gonna say, like, again, like you're saying, like, I think overall, I think everything went very well. I am looking forward to doing more of this next year. I don't know what it's gonna be. I am going to try to be in as many of the planning meetings as possible, so I don't have any issues next time. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to doing more of this.
yeah.
I do want to talk about the Matinee Adventures crossover. So before I do, any last words on Shadow War?
Stay tuned for next year. It's going to be bigger, better, and more frightening.
This is true.
All right. So this was like the day before. I was in basically a crossover game. It was with Matinee Adventures, who runs games for Origins and I think Yukon as well. With Andy, who people who watch USP will be super familiar with. I think Andy was actually my first GM on USP because I played in his Fate one-shot before anything else on here. But yeah, basically the game was a Power Rangers game that I was taking part in. And as mentioned, I was cramming in some Power Rangers before playing so I could get familiar with the setting and the characters. Obviously, the Blue Ranger is the best one.
Hell yeah.
You're so right. You're so right.
He just is. So luckily for me, I got to play the Blue Ranger. I thought I was going to be late because I was trying to finish an episode before I went. But I got there with enough time to pick the character that I wanted. So I started off the Power Rangers table, where we were essentially dealing with... It was a mixture of like some Season 2 stuff as well as some of the comic stuff. So there were some characters I wasn't familiar with, including this one particular scientist character who had called the Power Rangers in for help because her lab was being robbed by a bunch of putties, basically. So we had shown up there to help. We ran into this one particular character, this woman who was a master of disguise, it seemed, as well as this talking robot who may have also been a master of disguise in some ways.
Transformers, robots in disguise. Sorry.
Yeah. So we had like a brief combat with them, but the villains were able to escape, as they do in Act 1 of these sorts of stories. And then at that point, so the one of the interesting things that happened in this particular event was that they brought all the players together. There were about 18-ish players there. There were 3 tables of 6. And what they did was at the end of the first half, or I guess third, you could say, they brought all the players together as the leaders of the different factions. So like you had Zordon, you had, I don't really know other characters. You had Alpha Trion, I think is the character, and you had whoever is the general in charge of G.I. Joes. They essentially brought all the teams together for a meeting where they explained, hey, all of our bad guys, your Megatrons, your Ritas, your Cobras, they're working together on, actually it was also a reality-altering device. The only way to stop them is to have a cool montage where we learn to be friends. So we had a cool montage where we learned to be friends. We did have some like moments where like characters were introducing themselves, which is essentially like the big group just talking to each other, which was pretty fun. I think it did kind of work because it was a bit of a smaller group than like the USP event, so we were able to do more stuff like that. But as during the course of this, we got back together to meet with the leaders of the different factions for a meeting of trying to figure out like how do we stop whatever it is they're doing, because the villains had succeeded at their things at the other tables as well. But we were interrupted as reality sort of changed and shook and split into 3 different versions, each one taken over by a specific villain. So we had to split up into different teams consisting of 2 Rangers, 2 Joes, and 2 Transformers. and we essentially had to go deal with certain villains and sort of like catch up to them, defeat them, as well as break their connections to these new realities. So I, as the Blue Ranger, was on a team with the White Ranger, as well as Optimus Prime, Ratchet, and then two Joes, Rock and Roll, I think was one, like the heavy weapons guy, and then an explosives guy, whose name I'm not remembering right now. The Joes, they just exploded their way through a bunch of Decepticon enemies, because we obviously
That's so wild. Yeah, I love that.
We of course we had to fight Megatron because Optimus Prime was there.
Yep.
So
As
yeah,
you do.
they took out the most minions out of everybody, I think, which makes sense for Joe. So.
Yeah, that's so on
Joe.
brand. That makes me happy.
But yeah, essentially what we had to do was there were different like reality tethers that we had to step into, and they would sort of tap into either past experiences or things that had to do with our characters. And we have to make certain skill checks to sort of make our way through them. So some of the G.I. Joe characters, they had like past experiences or like past training missions and stuff like that. For my part, nice. For my part, as the Blue Ranger, I was actually exposed to this like ancient Cybertronian, which I was able to figure out, which was very cool. I actually, there is an inspiration mechanic in the game. And because they are leader characters, I was able to get inspiration from both Optimus Prime and Tommy. So I was like...
The most inspirational moment in all of history happened to you, I guess.
Yeah, just living out some kid's dream at that moment.
Peter
Yeah.
calling, talking you up while a knife flute is played in the background. God bless it. I'm inspired already.
Amazing. Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, that's...
It was like just one of my favorite moments for the whole convention. But we were able to succeed. Optimus Prime was able to defeat Megatron as he should. Starscreamed and betrayed and ran away, and he did his thing.
Yep.
But we were able to succeed and reset reality as it was, and it was just a whole lot of fun. It was just a really good event. I really like how things just worked out so that we were evenly able to split things up. It is another thing that I'm hoping to do again next year if they run something similar. They were supposed to have just some organizational stuff, like they weren't able to schedule it, but there was supposed to be a fourth table because there was supposed to be a My Little Pony table. So
would have
next
been
year?
amazing. Yeah, I was about to say next year I will do whatever I can to help them hit that number to
Right?
make it a full like lineup. Like
I need
I'll
to be
be
a
one of the
magical
ponies.
pony in this nonsense. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I would love that.
Or like I know this is getting like left field at this point, or TMNT. Like bring on the turtles and
The whole
cowabunga my dudes.
Saturday,
But
yeah,
anyways.
Saturday cartoon.
Full Saturday morning cartoon thing.
It was with the Essence 20 system,
Yeah.
which I'm not super familiar with. I think that was pretty much the only time I played it, other than, well, I don't know if the Power Rangers stream on USP was Essence 20. I don't think it was. I think it was something different.
Yeah, I don't think it was either.
Need them to add a Thundercats.
It was the can't
would
remember
be-
the name of it. The current system they're using, I don't think is Essence 20. It's I can't think of the name. But Andy also ran that, and it was fun.
Mayhaps they will add more Saturday morning cartoons. It would be cool to do more of that, even though if I'm not super familiar with all of them, I can have like a little crash course.
Yeah.
And I think I can get it pretty quickly.
Oh no, nostalgia.
But yeah, that was, again, just a really fun part of the convention. I can't think of any other specific thing I need to cover. We're at 9:30 at this point. I don't know if people have energy to do one more silly thing.
Sure.
Always.
I will
What is
also
the silly thing?
also throw out there that Andy being part of Matinee Adventures, I will just compliment him on the fact that he runs some very interesting games that he'll take systems and apply some different things to it, like Rocketeer for those that want to punch Nazis. I'm sad I missed his Castlevania game, which sounded so much fun. He is
Right? Yeah, that one sounded so much fun.
right. He does a beautiful job of taking something I adore, putting it in another system, and making a hell of a game out of it. So props to him on that. And I've even got to play in a few of them, like the last holiday Power Rangers game, and it was an absolute blast. So Matt, props to him for that.
Yeah. Hopefully he runs more Power Rangers on the channel. Because
I've already got the Blue Ranger claim, so you have to sit back.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Dang it.
It could be all Blue Rangers. There are multiple Blue Rangers to choose.
Crisis
do,
on Infinite Blue
Forever
Rangers.
Blue. Yeah, we could do a Forever Blue lineup.
Just
I
like
only know the
all
one,
Blue
so.
Rangers.
I mean, Billy is the best one too, but I would cede my crowd to you on this one just so we could blue it up together.
We'll see
Oh,
how much
TJ.
more Power Rangers I've seen by the time the next game happens.
Hey, you know what? All I have to say is, if you are gonna take my billing, then I guess that leaves me with just one other option of Boo to be.
That's Kevin.
Yeah. Oh no, it's not. It must not be the right style. Hang on. Foiled by technology.
Oh no. I do like your background though.
I think the only one I'd have a lot of fun playing from Power Rangers is from one of the various seasons where they had a Muay Thai guy that had the Wolfang Fist, but it wasn't Wolfang Fist from Dragon Ball Z. That's the only way I can remember it. But he would come in and and like some wolf nonsense.
Which one is that? Because the wolf guy was the 6th one to join, right?
Yes. Yeah, no.
What
It was
season
ridiculous.
was that?
Like it was off. Like
I am not good at the
Was
lore.
that Ninja
Yeah, no.
Storm? Ninja Storm?
yes,
maybe?
it was Ninja Storm. He was one of the Ninja Storm
Got
ones.
you.
And the thing is like I watched the original shit as a kid, and you grow up. It fell off my radar, and then I found it again when I was in Atlanta with my my art studio, and just one Saturday morning had a photo shoot coming in at like 10, so we just had cartoons going in the lounge area, and Power Rangers came on, and that mofo came in swinging on some vine down a tunnel and came through Wolfang Fist style, and I lost my mind, and he has been my favorite since. So
Amazing.
yeah, just give me a rando, and yeah.
My all-time favorite is TJ, who was red in Turbo and then blue in Space. That's my guy.
If you're gonna
Forever.
take Billy, then I've got no choice but to take White.
Yep, that makes sense. That makes sense. Well, we need to get some dinner in us, so we're gonna bounce. But I hope you guys have a lot of fun with this final game because it's gonna be silliness.
All right, thanks for hanging out. I really did love getting your perspectives on stuff. We're gonna have to chat more Starfinder at some point.
Yes,
Categorically,
I
yes.
went in on that discussion. I haven't been able to play either.
because we've got some fun character ideas.
I'm a crazy Kasathan Solarian. Let's go with weird mechanics.
Ooh, good
No
luck.
weird mechanics.
The Solarian stuff.
No, everyone says Solarian is all like the hardest level. It's not. It's just management. Spells are hard.
Yeah.
I mean, you definitely get it with Ruby to be like, can I finally punch something? Yes, I can. Yeah. But yes, so anyways, I hope you guys have a great night.
All right,
Later.
bye.
What else did you have a question about there, Kevin?
Well, I do want to give a quick shout out in the chat to Mitchell reading Paperback Princess to his daughter because that's a very classic book.
He's doing the important dad work. He's a good man.
So for the
Yeah.
last few minutes of this stream, or however long we just want to hang out for like a couple minutes more. So again, something that I have done previously, is when we were talking about Mutants and Masterminds, and when we had Alex on the podcast, we essentially did this thing where we chose random characters from the public domain superheroes wiki. We chose random supervillains, and we made an adventure out of whatever wacky characters we ended up with. Some classic characters like Dr. Dracula, a guy whose whole thing is he's a guy with a cape and a ray gun, but everybody loved him. As well as my favorite character, Gorilla with a human brain, who is a gorilla with a human brain.
I always want to clarify, in his head, or is he holding a human
No,
brain?
it's
Is there a distinction between just he has one and it is the one that is controlling him?
He's got a Louis Vuitton bag. He keeps it real close.
it's very precious to him. No, it's in his brain.
Okay.
It's in his head. Jeez. So, last time this happened, I just had 8 characters. I've expanded the list to 20.
Goodness.
So my plan is each of us just gets a random number from 1 to 20. We get some random characters. We flim-flam something for like a couple of minutes, and then probably go to bed. Because I'm tired.
I like it.
So whomever, I don't know, wants to, I don't know if you have a die in front of you. I don't know if you just want to Google random number generator.
I feel like I should have a die somewhere next to me.
Feel like the good people at Norse Foundry might have a die for me.
Ooh.
Which even the good people at Win with Dice, if you hop over to norsefoundry.com and use code USP it's USP capital NORSE, save yourself some money on buying cool dice from them. Shameless plug.
Ain't no shame in a plug.
Right. That was smooth, wasn't it? Didn't even realize there was going to be an ad read in the middle of that.
Yeah, I respect it.
Yeah. All right. What number do you want? I'll see how bad I can roll.
I just, anything from 1 to 20. I have a list of 20 characters here, including their comic they appeared in, what they look like, and just a little bit of their backstory. So whatever you roll will... Oh, brilliant.
So I didn't find dice, but...
Even better.
So what's a nat 20 give me?
Oh, okay. A nat 20 gives you Neptina, who first appeared in Champion Comics number 2 in 1939. She's basically an evil version of the Little Mermaid. She's got the clam bra situation. She's got long red hair. She's got that very severe, like, Golden Age femme fatale look. And she is the queen of an underwater kingdom inhabited by fishmen, which she rules over. She has a whole long backstory, but I shortened it to she is a queen of this kingdom, who is at war with the surface world. She commands a kraken, who is part of her army, but she is unable to breathe and speak on land.
Just a minor drawback at the end there.
Yeah. I mean, she has a kraken, so that makes up for it.
I think so, yeah. If I had to choose between breathing air and having
A kraken.
Pretty obvious choice. Okay, whoever wants to roll a number next.
I'll roll.
Good old
Oh,
random.org. If you've already rolled yours.
I haven't rolled yet, so...
Okay. So I got 18.
18 is Little Miss Murder, who was introduced in Doll Man number 13 in the summer of 1947. Her appearance is very much a Southern Belle type.
Perfect.
Little Miss Murder was already a skilled and experienced killer when she married Mike Mara, a notorious gangster. After poisoning her husband, she took over his gang and proved to be a cunning and ruthless crime boss in her own right. She behaved very politely with the trappings of a Southern belle, and feigned a sort of dainty disposition, but in reality, she was a cold-hearted monster.
I love it.
I don't know how these two would
Research
meet
real
up, but...
quick. Yeah.
Okay, Brandon.
All right, let's see what we've got. I rolled an 11.
Oh, these two. 11 is Saturnia and the Gloat, who were introduced in Blue Beetle number 34 in 1944. Saturnia is, again, a very classic Golden Age type of woman, with short black hair and a green dress. The Gloat is a bald, squat-looking man with, like, elf ears. Saturnia and her accomplice, the Gloat, I should do this in a more of a Saturnia and her accomplice the Gloat were criminals that fled to Earth after being exiled from Saturn. They made plans to conquer Earth as soon as they arrived. Both have the ability to take possession of other people's bodies. Saturnia is able to command an army of zombies. The Gloat can shapeshift into many forms, including an octopus or a flaming sword.
All right. So obviously the gloat is going to transform into something that lives underwater. And
Like
Saturnia,
an octopus.
like an octopus.
That's
Saturnia
what it
is
does.
going to create a bunch of zombie fishmen so they become all the more unstoppable.
Okay. I think we're seeing some connections here.
Where is this murder going to come in?
I don't know yet. For my part, I rolled a 3, who is the fiery icer, introduced in Captain Atom number 87 in 1967. He's got like a slim hazmat suit sort of thing going on. He has a flamethrower in one hand and an ice weapon in the other. So this feels more like a generic goon to start the adventure, though.
A little bit.
Or either that or Miss Murder, one of the two.
Ooh,
Yeah, well, I was
maybe.
gonna say we all sound a little bit villainous to me.
Oh no, that's definitely the point. These are random villains that we would
Okay,
just
random villains.
create an
So,
adventure
yeah.
around.
So it's like this whole alliance of evil, and it's got like land and sea covered.
Yeah, and space with Saturnia. So this random conglomerate of villains.
Well, clearly they're trying to work together to take control of land, air, and space. Or land, water, and space.
Yeah, I mean, Little Miss Murder is really stepping up from being a crime boss to being the master of all land.
Look, expansion is important. I've held this position long enough. He's
You
ready.
just need to find the
Start
right
making
friend.
those moves. Yeah.
This seems like a classic Golden Age adventure.
Well, I mean,
I'm thinking they call themselves the Fearsome Fivesome.
Miss Murder is integral to this particular scheme because I need Miss Murder to buy a lot of flyover land in the middle of the U.S. and the crappy states that no one cares about because we're going to need Neptunia is going to need a little bit of help melting the polar ice caps and raising the sea level to expand her kingdom. And then funny enough that all the land in the middle that's now the property of Miss Murder is seaside property at the last bastion of land that she mysteriously owns. As a matter of fact, I have a buddy who might have a fire ray who can help us melt and get rid of some ice caps and glaciers on the team as well.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I can see Little Miss Murder doing some financing for this plan. She's got connections. She can hire Fiery Icer.
Those business dealings. It's important.
Float is just the general because he can suit himself to any environment. So he's just like the enforcer. He's the liaison. He's making sure everything is going the way it should.
Also the army of fishman zombies is going to be a big help in breaking up the glaciers and casting them off into the warmer waters.
Just punching the ice together in unison for days on end.
Ice, penguins, it doesn't matter. Just keep punching zombies. That's what you do.
So I guess, what is Saturnia's plan? Just wait for the ice caps to melt and then take over the space around Earth while there's chaos going on? Because she is helping to contribute her army of zombies to this.
Yeah, what's in it for her?
Mean, I think Saturnia and Gloat are getting the classic motivation of money. These two are going to split the earth and the water, and that's going to be really profitable. And so they're going to pay Gloat and Saturnia just gobs and gobs of money.
Oh, are they gonna use that money to like empower themselves somehow and then return to Saturn, get revenge after being exiled?
This is all a giant metaphor for the Iran-Contra scandal.
I mean, There's also the fact that if we
Wow.
do raise the sea level, there will be a lot of places that'll be below it, and there's a lot more people for your zombie army, so we're going to swell the ranks by swelling the
Oh.
tides.
So Neptina expands her, like, I wanted to say land, but her
Aquatic
area
kingdom.
of rule.
Yes.
Empire.
Saturnia gets all the people who drowned to build a zombie army to go take back over Saturn, and Little Miss Murder gets to take all the places that are still above water, and
Because he
enrich
just happens to
herself.
still own them.
Yeah, and Fiery Icer, who I keep imagining as just like Sportsmaster from Young Justice, as taking this silly character and making him weirdly cool.
It's just wildly competent out of nowhere, and you're like, oh wow, it's pretty badass.
Yeah, he gets to be the goon who does that. But where do the heroes come in?
Well, I mean, when the fiery icer is blasting the ice caps with a blazing ray and zombie fishman, seems like something they should look into.
I'll get somebody's attention.
And your street level heroes are hearing word about Miss Murder just buying up gobs and gobs of land in the middle of nowhere.
What does it mean? Why is one of her guys in the Arctic?
So like one whole session is them investigating that, only to find out like, nope, it's perfectly above ground. And so they assaulted all of these minions and lieutenants, only to find out they were in the wrong.
Ooh.
Womp womp. Get that moral implication thing going on. I wonder if it's a situation where the heroes could try to play these villains against each other, though. If there's some
Oh, for
conflict
sure.
about like the ruling over the water, like, yeah, do more
Yeah,
than
no.
one of the villains want that because they can clash, or you can try to talk Little Miss Murder into like, hey, alien invasion's not great either, and zombie people, like that's way outside your scope. Give us a hand here. Like, there's some avenues to explore for the heroes for sure.
I'm kind of imagining Miss Murder just on like, I'm just focused on the profitability of real estate. For
I do declare.
I'm just a simple southern slumlord. I don't know what you're talking about.
Right. I looked up the picture of her and I'm like, yeah, this is
I'm
basically what
just
I
trying to
imagined.
diversify my portfolio.
Well, after my late husband left,
mysteriously.
I took some business classes with the suggestion.
Oh no. Well, I mean, I think that's gonna be my next Mutants and Masterminds adventure.
There you go. We just wrote your next Origins game for you. You're welcome.
All right. I think that's gonna do it for now. We might have to come back to some of these characters later. It would be fun to do just a thing like this, just with these public domain characters and making some sort of adventure out of them.
Yeah, I think I'll make her in Hero Lab probably for fun.
Yeah. I think I will send you my list of characters because we didn't get to Mr. Crime, who was my personal favorite. He's just a ghost with like a top hat that says crime on it.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
Specific.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Looking him up.
It's too perfect. That is the nemesis of my character for season 2 of Something in the Dark.
Oh, you should read. Yeah, you should read his backstory.
The
He
ghost
might actually be.
The ghost detective. His nemesis is the crime ghost.
Yes, definitely check out Mr. Crime.
Or Mr. Crime, sorry.
All right. We're gonna flim flam if I don't end this. Thanks a ton, everybody out there who was watching on YouTube, on Women's YouTube, or on USP Twitch. I'm sorry I didn't get to see everybody's messages, but I can only focus on one chat at a time when I'm trying to talk as well. Thanks everybody who also came on the stream and did some talking. I really appreciate you guys coming by. I hope we get to do more stuff like this. I have been wanting to do like something like this, especially after last year. I really wanted to cover this. And I was thinking of doing it in a podcast, but like I couldn't have crammed everything in an hour. So I think this format was better. And hopefully we get to just have more Win with Dice USP hangouts where we have everybody on and doing stuff. Let's just do normal outros, I guess. And I'll just do them in order on the Zoom screen, and then I'll say my piece, and then we can sign off. Starting with Deuce.
Hey, thank you so much for watching however you do. Appreciate those watching live, those watching after the fact. Make sure to leave a comment. And for those women with dice who've not heard this very important advice, I would like to impart to you something that you should take to heart, something near and dear to me, and something that will see you through to many wonderful days in playing RPGs. Never play the speedster. They're not fun. They're overpowered. Just don't do it. Play a normal character. It's just better for everybody. So, yeah. And, Tag, Brandon, you're it.
Well, I guess I will stick to standards as well. I don't really have anything to plug other than, I guess theoretically next Tuesday we will be back with Something in the Dark, our actual play with supernatural horror in the Earth Prime superhero universe. So you can check us out there. First, where we're back from our Origins break. But other than that, be kind to people, especially yourself. Claude.
That's a really good one. I am Claude. Just want to say thank you for having me on. I have started listening to the podcast, so it's been added to my backlog. I'm not going from the beginning, but I'm working my way back.
That's fine.
Had a great time with USP. Really glad to be collaborating with y'all on things. I can be found on Instagram and Threads. I am at CurlyInsaneGuy_. I talk about superheroes, TTRPGs, and superhero TTRPGs. Two great tastes that taste great together, in my opinion. Yeah, everyone, thank you and have a good night.
All right. And yeah, as everybody said, thanks again, everybody out there, for coming out and watching. I really want to do more stuff like this, so hopefully we get a chance to in the future. As far as channel stuff goes, I will mention that this will be the podcast episode for the week, so I'm going to put this in the podcast playlist. It's probably not going to be on Spotify, just because I don't know if that would be as good. But I will say for our Spotify, it does have all of our 2024 on episodes. So if you want to check those out, that's where they're available, or anywhere you get your podcasts. We're on Apple Podcasts and like a bunch of other places too. I just put the podcast wherever I could. And we have an RSS feed if you want to use that instead. As far as the gaming streams go, the schedule is switching up. So Thursday will be Baldur's Gate 3, Friday will be Armored Core 6, which is awesome. And then Sunday will be Alan Wake 2, which was very, very fun last time. So yeah, that's all I've got on my end. So I'm going to sign off and say thanks for watching, and I will give a normal wave.
Which is still an awkward Calvin wave.
Yeah.